in terms of how you can hear me or how like what you can see on the board or anything like that. Wish you the same. So I hope you start this new year with like a very positive mindset. කොහොමත් එහෙමනේ අපිනේ. We start a new year with a positive mindset, but also ඒ වගේම තමයි මම හිතන්නේ ඔයගොල්ලන් ලොකුවට new year ගැන අලුත් අවුරුදු මොනවද කරන්න කියලා හිතන්නේ නැතුව ඇති because you have exams and මම ඊයේ maths class එකකටත් කිව්වේ ඒකයි so yes you have the O levels so that might be something that you're not very happy about just as a new year is starting. But at the same time, also think that your exam is going to end in this new year. Exam එකක් තියනවා විතරක් නෙවෙයි exam එක ඉවරත් වෙනවානේ, right? So after that you will be free for a short while until maybe I don't know A levels or if you start your further studies or whatever, right? So ඒකයි අනිත් එක තමයි how many more days you have till the exam? I think 46. 46, no, yes. 17th at the end, okay. And the next week you have exams, right? So there was we were discussing about something that the concern raised by some of y'all is biosphere recordings in Karadit might be a bit boring, right? Because biosphere is not a very interesting lesson anyways. But with the current now, since I got your term test plans also, I was thinking අපි biosphere and hydrocarbons දෙකම එකම recordings එව්වේ නෑනේ. Biosphere එක I will send today or tomorrow. Hydrocarbons I will send today. So එතකොට මම අපි recordings වලින් cover කරමු. කරලා we will do questions. Right? Let's say we are done with biosphere, we'll have a discussion during the class. We'll have a discussion during the class and we will follow up with all the past paper questions related to biosphere. Then same with hydrocarbons. I think that would be a better way considering the amount of time we have. Because even if I'm planning to schedule extra classes, of course, next week I can't do, right? Because you have term tests. 5th to 9th, you have term tests. So I will not be having any extra classes. Again, 21st, 22nd, එතන 12th ඉඳන් 20th වෙනකන් ආයෙ පුළුවන්. Okay, so that's why even when I'm scheduling extra classes, I have to be careful so that it doesn't clash with school law exams, right? Okay, where did we stop in past papers? Let's try that. A biosphere අපි එහෙම කරලා බලමු. If there's any issue or concern or like අපි discussions වලින් cover කරමු. මම biosphere parts කීපයකට ඔයගන්ට දෙන්න recordings. I think I gave you like quite a bit of homework last week. What are the homework that I gave, Lamai? What are the homework that I gave? Ah, 2016, 19th MCQ එක වෙනකම් අපි discuss කරා. 2018 O-level MCQ and part 2, 2019 O-level MCQ and part 2. Okay. අපි then discuss කර හිටියා කිව්ව මොකද්ද 2016 ද? 2016. Okay. Let me get the 2016 paper. MCQs are a very good way of revising. සාමාන්‍ය එක මම අන්තිමට කරන්නේ ඒකයි අර ඒ හොඳම ටික අන්තිමට ඉතුරු කරගන්න වගේ. That's why. Because MCQs are short questions. Like short questions, no? Short questions and each question covering a different lesson. So we can revise multiple lessons within a short span of time. So that's why MCQs are fun and at the same time covers a lot. Up to question 16 we discussed. මේවා කරානේ. 16th එක අපි පස්සේ discuss කරමු කියලා කිව්වා. That is the number of double bonds in an isoprene molecule which is in hydrocarbons. Okay. Once again. All right. Let me get the rest of it to the board. 17th අපි discuss කරා වගේ මට මතකයි ළමයි. Did we not discuss the 17th? Up to 19. Ah, right. Okay, then. Okay. So we have discussed up to 19. 19th එකත් අපි කරානේ. අර focal length question එක that I remember. Okay. Now 20th one. A diagram of a muscle tissue is given below. Select the option which gives correctly the name of this muscle tissue and its function. Okay. What is the answer here first of all? Answer කියන්න බලන්න මුලින්ම. Okay. Manisha, what about others? Okay, Oneka? Others? Niuni okay? Sanuli okay? So there are different answers. Number 3th answer ඇවිල්ලා තියෙනවා මම number 4th ඇවිල්ලා තියෙනවා. We'll see what has happened here. අනිතාත් උත්තර දෙන්න තෙනුමි, දිනුගි, Sanuli, Imasha. Okay, we will see. Now we have learned 3 types of muscle tissue, right? So mataka නැති අයට let's do like a very fast revision of that. We talked about it in living tissues, right? There are 3 types of muscle tissues, right? There are 3 types of muscle tissues that we talked about. What are the 3 types, Lamai? Skeletal, smooth, and cardiac. So these are the 3 types of muscle tissue that we discussed. Now, if you look at here, smooth muscle tissue, where can you find? Where can you find smooth muscle tissue? Like, what are the locations where you can find smooth muscle tissue? Alamai, make it fast. Urinary bladder, uterus, digestive tract, blood vessels yes. So most of the organs that we cannot control, that is inside our body, that contracts and relaxes, that moves, they are made of smooth muscle tissue. Skeletal muscle tissue is of course areas that we can control, like my hands, my cheek muscles, my facial muscles. Tongue, in the tongue also there are muscles, right? Then hand muscles, bicep, tricep, then the leg muscles, right? So all the types of muscles that I can control, they are made of skeletal muscle tissue. Then we have cardiac muscle tissue, which makes the vertebrate heart. Not just the human heart, the vertebrate heart. So lamai, මෙතන මම කියන්නේ ඔයගා නෝට් එක දෙද්දි ගොඩාක් ලේසි කරලා දුන්නේ, right? Structural features and functional features වෙන වෙනම දාලා දුන්නේ. So structural features ගත්තොත් එහෙම we can see that now spindle shaped, unbranched, uninucleate, no striations. That's very clear in smooth muscle tissue. Let's look at skeletal muscle tissue. මේ දෙන්නගේ අතර ගත්තොත් එහෙම මේගොල්ලන්ට තියෙනවා long cylindrical tissues, cells, fibers, but they have short cells, cardiac. එක difference එකක් මේ දෙන්නගේ. තව එකක් තමයි මේගොල්ලන් unbranched but මේගොල්ලන් branched. That's another difference. තව difference එකක් තමයි මෙයාගේ multinucleated. There are multiple nuclei present, but this is uninucleate. Only one nucleus is present. So that's another difference. Then another difference would be මෙයාගේ intercalated discs නැහැ. මෙයාගේ intercalated discs තියෙනවා. The places where the cells are separated, there are intercalated discs. Similarity එකක් ගත්තොත් මේ දෙන්නගේ both of them have striations. Both of them have like these vertical lines වගේ තියෙන්නේ striations. So those are differences and similarities of the skeletal muscle tissue and cardiac muscle tissue. Functional wise ගත්තොත් එහෙම දෙන්නගේ differences මොනවාද? මෙයා this become fatigue easily. That's why let's say when you go for a hike or let's say you run a marathon or you just do something continuously, your legs or hands or they start to hurt. Hurt කියන්නේ ඒ muscle එක exhaust වෙලා. That means they become fatigue easily. But what about the heart? Heart can never become fatigue because it has to continuously operate. The heart cannot stop beating and pumping blood. Then skeletal muscle tissue is controlled voluntarily. Control voluntarily means we can control it in our own way. Like if I decide to stop moving, I can stop moving in skeletal muscle tissue, right? If I want to move one of my skeletal muscle tissues, I can move. So it's something that I can control. But heart attack I cannot control, so it's controlled involuntarily. So මේක අනිවාර්ය ළමයි මතක තියාගන්න muscle tissue වල diagram එක දීලා ඔයගලන්ට identify කරන්න නැත්නම් diagrams compare කරන්න ඒ වගේ දේවල් අනිවාර්යයෙන්ම එනවා. Right? So මේකේ මෙන්න මේ diagrams තුන හොඳට ඔලුවට දාගන්න. Diagram wise මේ lesson එකේ ඔයගලන්ට ආයමත් බලන්න ඕනේ xylem tissues වල diagrams බලා ගන්න. You know xylem tissue has different 4 types of cells. What are the 4 types of cells in xylem tissue ළමයි? What are the 4 types of cells in xylem tissue? Okay, I got one. I'm getting a few. Xylem vessel element, okay. Tracheids, xylem parenchyma, and yes, xylem fibers. Xylem vessel element ගත්තොත් ඔයාලට මතක ඇති it's like this tube වගේ මෙන්න මෙහෙම structure එකක් මෙන්න මෙහෙම එකක් තියෙනවා. So මේ වගේව කීපයක් එක උඩ එක උඩ තමයි තියෙන්නේ xylem vessel element වල. So a number of them stack on top of each other. What about the cross walls ළමයි? Cross walls are dissolved නේ. මෙන්න මේ විදියට මෙන්න මේ වගේ structure එකක් හැදෙන cross walls dissolve වෙලා. What is the function of xylem tissue? Overall, what is the function of xylem tissue? Yeah, xylem tissue transport water at the same time say water and minerals, right? Don't just say water because now අපි plant එක ගත්තොත් එහෙම roots වලින් water from the soil is absorbed by the roots. That water will be transported up to the rest of the plant body through xylem. But usually lamai, together with the water, the plant also gets the minerals. So that minerals like calcium or like nitrogen, ඒ වගේ minerals උත් එනවා. ඒවත් යන්නේ water එක්කම තමයි xylem එකේ. So overall the function of the xylem is transportation of water. ඒක mainlyම කරන්නේ xylem vessel element වලින්. So this is xylem vessel element. Then there are these structures called tracheids. Tracheids also help to transport water, right? Mainly tracheids. Tracheids also help to transport water. Then xylem parenchyma වෙනම තියෙනවා. What is the function of xylem parenchyma in the xylem tissue? Yes, Muni? Others? What is the function of xylem parenchyma in the xylem tissue? Xylem parenchyma doesn't control all the functions. Yeah, it involves in food storage. You know, parenchyma කියන ගත්තොත් එහෙම parenchyma වල generally තියෙන feature එකක් තමයි food storage. So in xylem also the parenchyma part it does food storage. So you know xylem parenchyma is made of parenchyma, right? Then xylem fibers is made of what simple permanent tissue? What is the simple permanent tissue that makes up the xylem fibers? Yes, sclerenchyma. Sclerenchyma fibers වලින් තමයි xylem fibers හැදෙන්නේ. And what is the function of xylem fibers? What is the function of xylem fibers? Support and strength and right? කොහොමත් sclerenchyma වල එහෙමනේ. Then we have to know which ones are living and which ones are dead. Here, what are the living structures in these four types of cells? What are the living ones? Okay, Sutuki. Okay, Ansilu. Actually, only xylem parenchyma is living. Parenchyma kohegiat living ne kohama. So here only parenchyma is living, right? Monada tukara dead. Xylem vessel element is a dead structure because lignin has deposited. Tracheate is dead because lignin has deposited. Xylem fibers are also dead because it's anyways parenchyma fibers. So there's lignin, right? So එතකොට parenchyma විතරයි living එකේන අනිත් ඔක්කොම dead. Right? Up to that point, is it clear, Lamai? Give me a thumbs up if it's clear. If you have any questions also, you can ask. Okay. What are the four types of cells in phloem tissue? Takal kiyang yanna, we don't have much time. Yes. Sieve tube element, and yes, companion cells. Yes. Phloem parenchyma, and yes, phloem fibers. So what is the function of xylem tissue, the overall function of xylem tissue? What is the overall function of phloem tissue? Transport food, no? Transporting food, we call it translocation of food. The water transport, we just say transportation of water and minerals. But when we are transporting food, we call it a special name. We say translocation of food. Where does the plant get food from? Or where is food produced? You know, plants are autotrophs, right? Plants are autotrophs, so they make their own food, unlike us. Kohe food had leaves wala. What is the process associated with making food? Photosynthesis, yes. Maitana photosynthesis questions keep akma when we were doing past papers we discussed, no? Okay, translocation of food. Then you know sieve tube elements are also just like xylem vessel element. මෙන්න මේ වගේ තියෙනවා. කීපයක්, they are like stacked on top of each other. Like this, right? මෙන්න මෙහෙම sieve tube element කීපයක්, they are stacked on top of each other. And you know, the places where two sieve tube elements meet, the cross walls are partially dissolved. So මෙන්න මෙහෙම pose හැදිලා තියෙනවා food වලට transport වෙන්න. This space we call it a sieve plate නේ ළමයි. Sieve plate එකක් කියලා තමයි කියන්නේ. මේ cross walls dissolve වෙලා අර නිකන් ඔය කුස්සියේ තියෙන what do you call that? ෆෙනේරයක්ම නෙවෙයි අර භාජනයක් තියෙන යට සිදුරු තියෙන holes තියෙන. So අර ඒ වගේ තමයි මෙතන. So through the holes food will be transported to the next sieve tube element. Then companion cells මෙයා පැත්තෙන් ඉන්නවා. Then parenchyma and fibers. Which ones are living here? Which ones are the living cells here? Okay, y'all are saying that sieve tube element is living, okay? You are also saying companion cells are living. You're also saying parenchyma is living, yes. So sieve, xylem wala parenchyma vitarai living, anith okkoma dead. Phloem wala fibers vitarai living, anith okkoma dead. Fibers vitarai dead, anith okkoma living. Okay? So all these three are living, only fibers are dead. Okay. So what is the function of sieve tube element? What is the function of sieve tube element? Transporting food. What is the function of companion cells? What is the function of companion cells? What is the function of companion cells? Yes. Bearing all organelles. Okay, yes. Now sieve tube element is a living structure usually. However, even though it is a living cell, it doesn't have a nucleus. And all cells should have a nucleus because nucleus is responsible for controlling all the activities of a cell. However, sieve tube elements, they have a lot of activities, but they don't have a nucleus to control those activities. That's why companion cells are there. They're like a companion. එයාගේ nucleus එකෙන් තමයි sieve tube element එකේ ඔක්කොම activities එක control වෙන්නේ. So these are the complex permanent tissues, no? Xylem අපි කතා කරා, phloem කතා කරා. Both of these we talked under complex permanent tissues. So simple permanent tissues වල අපි මොනවද කතා කරේ? Under simple permanent tissues, what did we talk about? Yes, we have parenchyma. We have parenchyma and we have sclerenchyma. Remember, sclerenchyma is the only tissue with dead cells here. Because lignin is deposited, sclerenchyma wala jati dekak tiyenawa. Sclerenchyma fibers and what? Sclerenchyma fibers and sclereids, no? Yeah. So, ma'am, again in detail kata karana because these are comparatively easy. Parenchyma saman is soft parts tamai hadane. In the plant body, all the soft parts like leaves, cortex and pith of the plant stem, cortex and pith of the plant root, endosperm of the seeds. Etika hadane parenchyma vale. So parenchyma gathama they have like isodiametric cells, ne? Spherical shaped cells තියෙනවා, intercellular spaces තියෙනවා, vacuole එකක් තියෙනවා ලොකුවට. Mainly parenchyma වලින් photosynthesis කරනවා. If you take a cross section, අහන් ඉන්න හොඳ ළමයි මම කියනවා බෝඩ් එකේ ලියනවා විතරක් නෙවෙයි කියනවත් හොඳට අහන් ඉන්න. If you take the cross section of a leaf, in the middle we have two types of cells called palisade cells and spongy cells, right? අර මෙහෙම order එකට තියෙන ටිකට palisade කියලා කිව්වා, randomly මෙහෙම තියෙනවට spongy කියලා. Like you. මම note එකේ ඔයාලට picture එකක් cells. They are parenchyma cells. They have a lot of chloroplasts, so they do photosynthesis. So one of the main functions of parenchyma is conducting photosynthesis. Also, parenchyma does food storage. අපි සාමාන්‍යයෙන් ගත්තොත් එහෙම potato. Potato කියන්නේ underground stem එකක් නේ. Potato is an underground stem. Remember stem tube, underground stems, we talked about 4 types නේ නේද? Rhizome, comb, bulb and stem tube. ඒ හැම එකකම food store වෙනවා now. If you take rhizome, ginger, turmeric, ඒවල food store වෙනවා underground stem එක. Food කියන්නේ ginger වල අපි අර ginger කෑල්ල ගත්තොත් that is this underground stem. Turmeric වල turmeric කෑල්ල that is the underground stem. The comb වලට example අපි කතා කරා ගහලා හබරල right මෙහෙම තියෙන පල්ලෙහාට again underground stems. Bulb වල we talked about onion leeks, all of that again underground stems. Stem tube වලට we talked about potato, again underground stems. So ඒ හැම එකේම food විදියට store වෙලා තියෙන්නේ potato hari turmeric hari, that is parenchyma. And then also underground roots. If you take carrot lamai, carrot wala carrot ale kyane root එක. So some other plants like carrot, they store food in their root. Okay, so that is also parenchyma, right? So parenchyma වල තව function එක food storage. And also apart from that, like පොඩි කියන්නේ herbaceous plants වල වගේ parenchyma වලින් strength එක දෙන්න පුළුවන්, right? When parenchyma feels like a lot of water, in parenchyma there's a vacuole, no? So that vacuole can fill a lot of water. water ගොඩක් fill කරාම ඒගොල්ලන් හොඳ turgid වෙනවා හොඳටනේ. So that can give strength. So ඒ වගේ, right? And then if you take colon chyma, we said they're modified parenchyma cells, and we said corners are thickened. Corners of the cell wall are thickened. In both parenchyma and colon-chyma, cell walls are made of cellulose. Colon-chyma වල again photosynthesis can be a function. It gives strength. Immature dicot stems වලට strength එක දෙන්නේ colon-chyma වලින්. Dicot leaves අර veins මැද්දේ තියෙනවානේ. So dicot leaves වලට strength එක දෙනවා. ඒ වගේ, right? Sclerenchyma ගත්තොත් එහෙම sclerates තියෙන තැන් වෙනමයි. Sclerates තියෙන තැන් වලට we said endocarp of mango, endocarp of coconut, then pericarp of guava, right? It was a seed coat of dates, coffee. ඒවල තියෙනවා sclerates. Sclerenchyma fibers තියෙනවා ඔය xylem fibers, phloem fibers. Coconut husk එකේ තියෙන coconut fibers, they also have sclerenchyma fibers, right? So those are the simple permanent tissues that we talked about. The sclerenchyma වල main function එක තමයි giving support. So simple permanent tissues, and these are the complex permanent tissues. මේ දෙකේම ළමයි, both in simple permanent tissues and complex permanent tissues, you need to be able to identify a picture. You need to be able to identify a picture. Keep that in mind. ඊට පස්සේ meristematic නේ අපි ඉස්සර කතා කරේ. ඒ ටික I'm not going to talk about here. ඊට පස්සේ animal cells වල අපි කතා කරා epithelial tissues. Epithelial tissues නම් diagrams වලින් identify කරන්න මොනවත් වෙන්නේ නැහැ. You need to remember what they do. Epithelial tissues, they line up free surfaces, right? So they lines up free surfaces, they give protection, they have an absorptive function, they have a filtering function, they have a secretory function, right? Yes. And also they are on a basement membrane, right? Epithelial tissues. ඒක මතක තියාගන්න. Connective tissues වලට අපි කතා කරා blood ගැන. And then we talked about the muscle tissue, under which we talked about these three types of muscle tissues, right? And finally, we talked about the nervous tissue. Okay. May lesson එක ගොඩාක් associate වෙනවා biological processes lesson එකත් එක්ක. So go through this lesson. Pictures wise identify කරගන්න ඉන්නේ muscle tissue ಜಾති තුනයි. Xylem ටිකයි, phloem ටිකයි. Parenchyma, collenchyma, sclerenchyma. ඒවා ටික පොඩක් picture එකත් එක්ක familiarize වෙන්න. All right. So anyways, if you go to this question, this is clearly branched, right? Skeletal muscle tissue is not branched. Then මේ දෙකේම striations තියෙනවානේ. Striations දැක්ක ගමන් මට හිතෙනවා මෙයා skeletal ද මෙයා cardiac ද. I might be a bit confused. However, in skeletal එකක් තමයි මෙන්න මේ intercalated disc තියෙනවා මෙතන. Intercalated disc තියෙනවා කියන්නේ it's cardiac. ඒක දැක්කේ නැතත් ඔයාලට ටක් ගාලා පේනෝනේ this is branched. If it's branched, it cannot be skeletal. It is definitely cardiac, right? So answer is cardiac. Then function. So cardiac තැන් දෙකක තියෙනවා. මෙතන තියෙන voluntary control. This is involuntarily controlled. Of course, it's involuntarily controlled because we cannot control it. So the fourth one is the correct answer. Okay, let's move on to the next one. What is the pressure exerted by water at a point 2 meters vertically below the water level in a lake? Take the density of water as 1000 kgm minus 3 and acceleration due to gravity as 10 ms minus 2. What is the answer you got for this? Okay. Okay. What is the equation that I should use here? Yes. ළමයි pressure වල අපි ඉගෙන ගත්ත equations කීපයක්. First we talked about P equals F over A. මේක තමයි pressure වල general equation එක. This applies for solids, this applies for liquids, and this applies for gases. Liquids වලට විතරක් අපි specifically තව equation එකක් modify තව equation එකක් හදාගත්තා. That is P equals H rho G. Here H is the vertical height or the depth, rho is density, and G is gravitational acceleration. So,
1
pressure වල අපි එච්චරනේ equations ඉගෙන ගත්තේ. අපතරස් වලට අපි equation එක ඉගෙන ගත්තේ නෑනේ. That was not in your syllabus. Okay. So here clearly we have to use equation 2. So we will apply this to equation number 2. 2 meters vertically below. So depth is 2 meters, right? ළමයි මතක තියාගන්න මෙතන ඕගලන්ට equation එකකට values එක substitute කරලා answer එක හොයාගන්න එක මහ ලොකු අමාරුවක් නෑ, right? ඒක කරන්න බැරි නම් you should go back to grade 10 term 1, right? මොකද equation එකක් දීලා substitute කරගන්න එක මහ ලොකු දෙයක් නෙවෙයි. ඕගලන්ට වර්ධින තැන් මොනවද මේ වගේ එකක් figuring out the equation. If you have a hard time figuring out the equation, make a short note of all the equations that you learned. If you take physics, අපි ඉගෙනගෙන තියෙනවා speed equals distance divided by time, velocity equals displacement divided by time. I'm another. Mean speed, mean velocity, that is like total displacement divided by total time. Acceleration equals final velocity minus initial velocity divided by time. ඊට පස්සේ ආයෙ තව අපි mean velocity හොයන තව එකක් හොයාගත්තා, initial velocity plus final velocity divided by 2. From that we were able to find a displacement. ඊපස්සේ අපි F equals ma තව මොනවාද? moment වලට අපි equation එකක් ඉගෙන ගත්තා. momentum වලට ඉගෙන ගත්තා. ඊට පස්සේ where we learned for weight, W equals mg, right? And then up resultant where the anti-clockwise moments equals clockwise moments scale up equilibrium වලට ඉගෙන ගත්තා. What else? Pressure වලට we learned this. Then current electricity වල we learned V equals IR. Then series combination resistors වල එක. there's a parallel combination resistors වල එක අපි ඉගෙන ගත්තා. ඊට පස්සේ අපි grade 11 වල මොනවද ඉගෙන ගත්තේ? waves and light වල නම් අපි මොනවද ඉගෙන ගත්තේ නෑනේ මට මතක විදියට. Then we came to like power and energy. We learned about work energy and power එකේ work done, kinetic energy, potential energy, power ඒවට අපි ඉගෙන ගත්තා. ඊට පස්සේ අපි තව power වලට ඉගෙන ගත්තා P equals VI කියලා. E equals VIT. Likewise we learned multiple equations in physics. ඒටි ඔක්කොම එක short note එකකට දාගත්තොත් ඔයගන්ට පළවෙනි ප්‍රශ්න විසඳෙනවා. That is figuring out the equation. Then you have like everything at one place, you have like a better idea, right? Then what is the next issue, Lamai? Units, right? Ogalang hita units echara amaru nayane kiyala, but sometimes ogalang hita nathi wunata ar exam එක වෙලාවට stress එකයි ඔක්කොමත් එක්ක you might get the units wrong. ඒකින්ද හොඳට ඔළුවේ තියාගන්න units. Height, this is okay. So height is 2, it's in meters, so no problem. 2 is in meters, so ekina apita kisima prashnayak naha. Rho is density. Density values you never have to memorize, they give. This is 1000 kgm minus 3. Thousand kgm minus 3, and gravitational acceleration also they have given as 10 ms minus 2. Height එක unit එක kilometers වලින් දුන්නොත් or centimeters වලින් දුන්නොත් you have to convert it to meters. So here 2, මෙතන 3 zeros and 4 zeros. So altogether 4 zeros. And pressure වල unit එක it's in pascals, right? නැත්නම් මේ Newton මේකත් unit එකක් nm minus 2. So it's 20,000 pascals. So it should be answer number 4. Answer number 4. Okay. Then the next question is, Amali's skin is dry and blisters have appeared on her knee and elbows. Blisters appearing on knees and elbows. Bite or spots are in her eyes. What is the answer, Amai? This is very easy. This is very easy. Others? Yeah. So vitamin A වල තමයි මේ deficiency symptoms එන්නේ. මොනවාද මීට අමතර වෙන්නේ? What else? You know there's night blindness, then phytopatches in the eye, then blisters on the knees and elbows, right? Then skin becomes dry, right? So ඒ වගේ ඒවා vitamin A වල. Vitamin A වල mainly මතක තියාගන්න ඔය blisters කතන්දරේ skin dry කියන එක නම් අතර මම හිතන්නේ තුනකට විතර එනවා. vitamin A, B, C තුනටම එනවා. Mainly night blindness, bito patches, ඒව ඔක්කොම grade මේ ඒව ඔක්කොම vitamin A වල deficiency symptoms. So it's easy to remember. මොනවාද vitamin B වල deficiency symptoms? ඒකේ තිබ්බ ටිකක් significant ඒවා ටිකක්. Vitamin B deficiency symptoms. Dryness in the skin again, yes. What else? හැමෝම උත්තර දෙන්න ළමයි. Now there are 15 of y'all. Only a few are giving answers all the time. අඩුම තරමේ මම අහුවම මොකද්ද ඔයගොල්ලෝ අන්ඩර්ලයින් කරපු උත්තරේ කියලා ඒක හරිය ඔයගොල්ලන්ට කියන්න පුළුවන් වෙන්න ඕනේ. එකපාරක් දෙපාරක් කියලා don't stop. නැත්නම් ඊළඟ පාර නම් කියනවා, okay? Yes. Anemia, beriberi ඒක මතක තියාගන්න vitamin B වලට. Vitamin B වල deficiency symptoms, anemia කියන අර මේ ඇඟේ blood නැති හින්දා body එක මාර pale වෙලා තියෙන, that is anemia. Anemia, beriberi, dryness in the skin, those are deficiency symptoms of vitamin B. What about vitamin C? What are the deficiency symptoms? Yes, change in complexion is also, yes. Change in complexion is also a deficiency symptom in vitamin B. Vitamin C වල මොනවාද? Yes. Weakening of gum. Gum එක කියන්නේ විදුරු මස, right? That becomes weak. What else? Scurvy. Internal bleeding, yes. Body එක ඇතුලේ internal bleed වෙනවා. Yes, ළමයි. Yes, a good one. Immunity එක අඩු වෙනවා, right? Immunity එක අඩු වෙනවා කියන්නේ දේශියම ලෙඩවලට කියන්නේ if you have a deficiency symptom in vitamin C, you are easily targeted for diseases. That is why, excuse me, that is why ළමයි ඔයගොල්ලන්ට කියන්නේ අර vitamin C tablets නිතරම බොන්නේ. So ඒ වගේම නිකන් බිව්වට කමක් නැහැ. කියන්නේ මෙහෙමයි. ඕනම දෙයක් ඕනාවට වඩා ඕනේ නැහැ. So it's not good to like always consume vitamin C tablets. But සමහර වෙලාවට even your skin color can change because of vitamin C, right? Because vitamin C. Now vitamin C naturally අපිට ගන්න පුළුවන් මොනවද? Vitamin C are naturally present in what kind of food? Vitamin C. No? Like what? Sour කිව්වම sour food, there are so many different types of sour food. Yeah, fruits with citric acid or citrus like orange, lemon, lime, ඒ වගේ වල සෙනාරං ඒ වල හොඳට මේ vitamin C තියෙනවා. Okay. So that is why if you are not consuming those and getting the amount of vitamin C that your body needs, then you have to get it through tablets. So 1 tablet per day vitamin C is okay. Somebody semathionite. Now I also take vitamin C regularly. Okay, so so එතකොට when you have like when you don't have enough vitamin C, your skin complexion changes. Not just vitamin B, vitamin C වලටත් ඒක වෙනවා. Right? Then what about vitamin D? Vitamin D වල මොනවාද deficiency symptoms? That was one significant one. Yes. Others? Rickets. Bones තනින් තන deform වෙලා නැවිලා ඒ වගේ වෙන ඒවා තමයි rickets කියන්නේ. Vitamin E වල මොනවාද? Vitamin E. Premature births. Usually a birth is supposed to happen after 9 months, but prematurely කියන්නේ නිකන් 6-7 months වලින් වගේ එනවා නම් ගොඩක් දුරට ඒ motherට vitamin E deficiency එක. Cell division අඩුයි. Weakness in cell division, that is true. What else? Weakness in reproduction, yes. Also ළමයි red blood cells ඉක්මනට මේ විනාශ වෙනවා, like destroy වෙනවා, what do you call it, breakdown වෙනවා in if there's a deficiency in vitamin E. So red blood cells එකපාරට මේ break down වෙන්නේ නැහැ. සමහර ටික කාලයක් තියෙනවනේ 120 days is a lifespan. Remember red blood cells වල lifespan එක 120 days. But if they break down faster than that, that is going to be a problem. Vitamin K වල මොනවාද? Vitamin K වල functions මොනවාද ළමයි? One second, let me reply to Batula. Okay. Yes, vitamin K වලින් කරන්නේ blood clotting වලට ඕනේ දේවල් හදන එක, right? It facilitates blood clotting, and whatever is required for blood clotting, it produces those. So obviously vitamin K නැති වුණාම මොකද වෙන්නේ? Blood clotting වෙන්නේ නැහැ හරියට. That is very very scary, very risky. තුවාලයක් හැදුනහම මේ blood ටික clot වෙන්නේ නැත්නම් ඔයාගේ body එකේ blood ටික ඔක්කොම එළියට යනවා. Okay? Anyways, for this question, the answer is vitamin A. ඔය ටික ටිකක් වැඩිපුර කියව ගත්තාම, කියන්නේ කීප සැරයක් කියව ගත්තාම ඔළුවේ මතක හිටිනවා, right? You can associate like a story alongside this. Which of the following statements is false regarding photosynthesis? මොනවාද මොකද answer එක? Excuse me. Photosynthesis can be done artificially. We have never learned anything like that, ne? අපි ඉගෙන ගත්ත නැති දෙයක් ගැන අපිට comment කරන්න බෑ. So photosynthesis අපි දන්න විදිහට it naturally happens in green leaves using carbon dioxide and water and using solar energy in the cells having chlorophyll. Photosynthesis happens and it produces glucose and oxygen. So මේක artificially කරන්න පුළුවන්ද කියන එක අපිට කිසි knowledge එකක් නෑ ළමයි නේ. ඒකනේ මම ඒක කොහොම පැත්තකින් තියන්න. Right? Something that I don't have knowledge on, something that I cannot comment on, I will leave as it is. I will move to point 2. Solar energy is converted into chemical energy during photosynthesis. That is correct, ne? අපි use කරනවා sunlight. අපි use කරනවා light energy from the sun. And using the light energy from the sun, we are producing food. Food means chemical energy. හැම වෙලේම එහෙමයි. දැන් මම මේව කතා කරද්දී උනත් මම use කරන්නේ මම කාපු කෑම වල තියෙන energy එක. Right? Maybe today or last night or whenever මම කාපු කෑම වලින් ඒ body එකේ store වෙලා තියෙන එක use කරලා තමයි energy දෙන්නේ. So කාපු කෑම වලින් එන energy means it's chemical energy. So when I'm talking, my the chemical energy in my body is converted to sound energy. මැද තව kinetic energy වලට convert වෙනවා. මොකද vocal cords වලට strike වෙනවනේ. So that's kinetic energy and then sound energy, right? So anyways, yes, solar energy is converted into chemical energy. That is true. Oxygen gas is produced as a byproduct. Yes, that is also true. Lian man hamoma photosynthesis reaction එක. Write the reaction for photosynthesis. Quickly write. දැන් නිකන් විනාඩියක්වත් නැතුව ටක් ගාලා ලියන්න පුළුවන් වෙන්න ඕනේ. මොනවාද අපිට ඕනේ 6 CO2 6 කියන්නේ මේ බැලන්ස් කරපු එකනේ. What we want is CO2. I hope all of you can see where I'm writing, ne? CO2 කොහෙන්ද carbon dioxide එන්නේ leaves වලින් නේ? Stomata වලින් carbon dioxide එනවා. Water කොහෙන්ද එන්නේ? From where does the plant get water? Roots වලින් නේ? Soil එකෙන් ගන්නවා root hairs වලින්. In the presence of light energy and chlorophyll, එතන මෙතන balance කරාම 6 එනවනේ. මතක තියාගන්නකොට 6 කියලා මතක තියාගත්තට කමක් නැහැ. Then produces glucose is the main product, and as a byproduct oxygen හැදෙනවා. So oxygen is a byproduct. Here glucose is produced නේ. මේ glucose වලට මොනවද වෙන්නේ ළමයි? glucose වලට මොනවද වෙන්නේ? leaf එකේ glucose starch. Yes. Temporarily stored as starch in the leaf. leaf එකේම temporarily starch විදිහට store වෙනවා. ඊළඟට මොකද වෙන්නේ? After that what happens? The produced glucose will temporarily store as starch. And then what happens? Yes, it is converted to sucrose. For what? Why is it converted to sucrose? Why is it converted to sucrose? It is easy to transport sucrose and මේ විදිහට තමයි sucrose විදිහට තමයි phloem එකේ transport වෙන්නේ food. In the phloem tissue, food is transported as sucrose, as a sucrose solution. ඊට පස්සේ මොකද වෙන්නේ? හිතන්න මොකද අදාළ තැනකට ගියා, cell එකකට ගියා. ගිහිල්ලා ආයමත් this sucrose might be converted to glucose. Right? එතන cell එකෙන් glucose නේ ඕනේ cellular respiration කරන්න. So this sucrose might be converted to glucose in a particular cell. Or maybe this sucrose might be converted to starch again. කොහරි store වෙන starch විදිහට ආයෙ convert වෙන්න පුළුවන්. This is the pathway of what happens to glucose, which is the main product of photosynthesis. Okay. So yes, glucose is a main product and oxygen is a byproduct. එතකොට A sentence එක හරි. Yes. Glucose produced during photosynthesis is temporarily stored in plant leaves as starch. That is also true. එහෙනම් ඉතින් ඉතුරු වෙන්නේ මෙයානේ. So එහෙනම් that must be the false one. නැත්නම් මං කන්ද. Actually when you are initially targeting this, you might be confused. No? Photosynthesis artificial කරන්න පුළුවන්ද බැරිද? You don't know. But අනිත් ටික you know they are true. එහෙනම් ඉතුරු එක්කන නෑ, so it's false. A diagram of a longitudinal section of a bisexual flower is given below. Mom, bisexual flowers, unisexual flowers, monoecious plants, dioecious plants. They were going to දෙපාරක් විතර already revise කරලා ඇති. So I'm not going to talk about them again. But if you have any question, you can ask. Select the options which gives two parts belonging to gynosium and androsium respectively. Gynosium is the female part, no? Gynosium can be female. ඒකට තව කියන නමක් මොකද්ද gynosium එකට? Gynosium is also called pistil. මොනවාද gynosium එකට අදාළ parts? What are the parts? Stigma, style, stamen කියලා එකක් නැහැ. Stigma, style, ovary. බාතුල මේ 2016 MCQ එක. This is 2016 MCQ. දැන් අපි 24th එක discuss කරා. I will send you the recording of the previous one. එතකොට මෙතන stigma එක ඇවිල්ලා A නේ. A is the stigma. E is the style. And D is the ovary. A, E, D. Right? So stigma is A, style is E, ovary is D. අපිට මාක් කරලා තියාගමු නේ. What is the androsium? Androsium කියලා කියන්නේ මොකද්ද? What is an androsium? Androsium is the male part. The androsium is also called, yes, stamen. Now tell me what are the parts belonging to androsium or stamen? Anther, filament. If you look at this one, මේ තියෙන්නේ filament එක. That is B is the filament, C is the anther. Anther එක ඇතුලේ තමයි pollen sacs තියෙන්නේ නේ, which releases pollens. So C is the anther and B is the filament. Okay, now we have all our parts. We will see. Select the option which gives two parts belonging to gynosium and androsium respectively. Let's look at our first answer. A and C. A belongs to gynosium, C belongs to androsium. ඔන්න එයා නම් හරි වගේ. එයා හරි වගේ. අපි අනිත් පැත්තට බලමු B and D. B belongs to androsium, D belongs to gynosium. එතකොට gynosium androsium නෙවෙයි androsium gynosium. එතකොට එයා වැරදිනේ. අපිට ඕනේ මුලින්ම gynosium එකට ඕන එක්කෙනා ඊට පස්සේ androsium එකට ඕන එක්කෙනා respectively, right? Then AE. Gynosium, E is also gynosium. එනයි හරියන්නේ නැහැ. CE, androsium first, gynosium second. එයා හරියන්නේ නැහැ. So first one is the correct answer. Okay, whatever we discussed in this page, is it clear to all of you? Please give me a thumbs up if it's clear. Bathula අරන අනිත් ඔක්කොටම පුළුවන් දැන් මේක clear වෙන්න ඕනේ. Because Bathula joined a bit late. Okay. Let's move on to the next page. One second. Can't I get this? 24th again, අන්තිමට කරේ. Okay. Let's see. Let me get the rest of the questions. Okay. All right. As shown in figure A, the glass cubes stick inside the glass P. Glass cubes stick inside glass P. Which of the following strategies is suitable to separate the two glasses easily? Let's read that question again. Glass cube is stuck in glass P. So P එක තමයි එළියේ තියෙන්නේ, P ඇතුලේ තමයි Q stuck වෙලා ඉන්නේ. Okay, which one is the answer that you put? What is the answer? Okay. Now MCQ එක හරියට මාක් කරගන්න. මම අන්තිමට අහන උගා ලකුණු කීයද ආවේ කියලා. දැනට for now අපිට කරන්න බැරි questions තිබ්බේ 2යි හරි 3යි හරි නේ. 2යිද කොහෙද? අපිට කරන්න බැරි ඒවාට තිබ්බේ 8th එක අපිට කරන්න බෑ කියලා අපි consider කරා, 12th එක කරන්න බෑ කියලා ගත්තා. And isoprene molecule එක නේ. So 3යි අපිට දැනට කරන්න බැරි ඒවා කියලා ගත්තේ. So other than that everything else you should have marked. Be honest to yourself and mark, right? වැරදි උත්තරේ නම් කමක් නැහැ, වැරදි කියලා mark කරන්න. හරි නම් හරි කියලා mark කරන්න. At the end I'm going to check. Okay. Now let's take the first instance. Q වලට hot water දානවා, P Q කියන්නේ මෙතන ඇතුළේ කෙනානේ. So ඇතුළේ කෙනාට ඇතුළෙන් hot water fill කරනවා. එළියේ කෙනාට එළියේ hot water bath එකක දානවා. What will happen to a solid when it is heated? What will happen to a solid when it's heated? It expands. Yes, solid එකකට heat කරාම liquid වෙනවා. That is true. ගොඩක් heat කරාම liquid වෙනවා. That's not සාමාන්‍යයෙන් චුට්ටක් heat කරාම it expands. That's a good point. Yes, solid එකක් heat කරාම it becomes a liquid. That is when you heat it until the melting point. No, නිකන් පොඩ්ඩක් heat සාමාන්‍ය heat එකක් දුන්නාම it expands. It grows the size. It increases the volume. So here what will happen is Q ඇතුලේ තියෙන hot water. So Q will expand. P ට එළියෙන් ඉන්නෙත් hot water. So P will also expand. දෙන්නම expand වෙනවා කියන්නේ again දෙන්න අපිට separate කරගන්න අමාරුයි නේද? Here if I want, now Q is inside, P is outside now. If I want to separate Q and P, P ව expand වෙලා කියන්නේ P ව expand වෙලා Q ව පොඩි වුණා. නැත්නම් Q ව තියෙන විදිහට තියලා P ව expand වුණොත් නේද අපිට separate කරගන්න පුළුවන්. එළියෙ කෙනාව නේද ලොකු වෙන්න ඕනේ. Do you understand what I'm saying? එළියෙ කෙනාව තමයි ලොකු වෙන්න ඕනේ. The vessel outside is the one that should expand properly so that it's easy to remove the inner vessel. So here, if you take this one, inner, outer, both the vessels, P and Q, both will expand. So that doesn't seem to work well. If you look at 2, second එක බලන්න. P ට එළියෙන් ඉන්නේ hot water, so P will expand. But inside Q, there is cold water. Cold water කියන්නේ සමහර ළමයි when you supply heat, if something expands or cool කරාම චුට්ටක් යාගේ size එක අඩු වෙනවා. චුට්ටක්. It's not very significant, but පොඩ්ඩක් අඩු වෙනවා size එක. නැත්තම් තියෙන විදිහටම තියෙනවා. නැත්තම් size එක චුට්ටක් අඩු වෙනවා. So Q වල cold water තියෙන හින්දා එයා expand වෙන්නේ නැහැ. P will expand. Now that seems like an ideal scenario නේද? P and Q stuck වෙලා තියෙද්දී if only P expands, P විතරක් expand වුණොත් අපිට ගලවන්න ලේසි. That seems good. So we'll leave it for a second and we will come to the third one. Here P ට එළියෙන් cold water දාලා Q ට hot water දාලා. So P will not expand but Q will expand. ඇතුලේ කෙනා expand වෙනවා කියන තවත් stuck වෙනවා. එළියේ කෙනා expand වෙන්නේ නැහැ. ඇතුලේ කෙනා expand වෙනවා කියන තවත් stuck වෙනවා. So third one doesn't work. Fourth එක එළියෙත් cold water, ඇතුලේත් cold water, none of them expand. So again that doesn't work. So the second one should be the answer. Second one should be the answer. Why again? Because P is in contact with hot water, so it will expand. Q doesn't have hot water, it's cold water, so it won't expand. Therefore, අපිට P විතරක් expand වෙනවා එළියෙ කෙනා. ඒතර ගලවන්න ලේසි. Okay? Consider the following statements made by a student. What are your answers? Now, please give me like 2 minutes. Okay? මේකේ answer එක දාලා තියන්න හැමෝම. Give me 2 minutes. I'll quickly be back. එතක ඔයගලන්ට තෝරන වතුර එකක් බීලා එන්න, washroom එකට යන්න ඕන නම් එන්න. I will give you like a 3-minute break. Make it fast. Okay, lamai. Are you all here? Okay, others? Okay. So I hope everybody's here. Okay. All right. So I got the answer for this from you all. Consider the following statements made by a student. Cinnamon oil can be extracted from cinnamon leaves by using steam distillation. Petrol can be obtained from crude oil by using fractional distillation. Distilled water can be obtained from well water by simple distillation. Okay, we'll see. Steam distillation normally අපි use කරේ මොනවටද? For what did we use steam distillation? If you remember, what did we use steam distillation? Mainly steam distillation අපි use කරේ plant parts වලින් එක එක oils වගේ extract කරද්දී. Cinnamon leaves or cinnamon bark, you can extract cinnamon. Jasmine flower, you can extract jasmine oil. Then clove, the even in cloves, right, from that floral part, you can again extract oil. If you take citronella or again like cinnamon, you can use the leaves to extract oil. So likewise, if you take sandalwood, you can use the stem. So likewise, there are different parts of plants from which you can extract oils, right? එතකොට ගොඩක් වෙලාවට අපි ඒ වගේ වලට තමයි steam distillation use කරේ. I hope you remember. Why did we use steam distillation for this? Let me try to get an image. එතකොට ඔයගොල්ලෝ කියන්න ඇයි අපි steam distillation use කරේ? Why not simple distillation? Why not fractional distillation? Why steam distillation? Why steam distillation? Why steam distillation? Okay. To separate components in a mixture. හැම අපි ඉගෙන ගන්නනේ separating techniques ගොඩක් ඒ ඔක්කොගෙම කරන්නේ separating components. You have to be very specific. When we have simple distillation, we have fractional distillation, but why steam distillation? Yes, Dusindi. I got one answer already. So, අපි steam distillation වල මෙන්න මෙහෙම එකක් ඉගෙන ගත්තේ. This picture I'm getting from the textbook. Huh? Yeah. Simple distillation වල අපි කරන්නේ we directly supply heat. Fractional distillation වල අර fractionating column එකක් ඒක unnecessary මේකටනේ. But simple distillation ගත්තොත් simple distillation වල we directly supply heat. Right? But this particular but here what will happen when we directly supply heat is that the parts of the plant will get destroyed, or a very good point is it might be converted to other forms. Plant part එක destroy වෙන්නත් පුළුවන් සහ plant එකේ තියෙන chemicals එක එක forms වලට convert වෙන්න පුළුවන්. ඒක හින්දා අපි directly heat දෙන්නේ නැහැ. Right, actually මෙතන මෙහෙම heat දෙන්නේ නැහැ. මෙතනින් වෙනම Bunsen burner එකකින් heat දෙන්නේ නැහැ. අපි මුලින්ම වෙනම water එකක් රත් කරනවා. Right, we heat a water separately. When you heat the water, මේක steam එක හැදෙනවනේ. මේ steam එක මේකට ගිහලා ඒ steam එකෙන් තමයි මෙයාව රත් වෙන්නේ. We don't supply heat to this vessel. ඒක අර මෙතන arrow එකක් දාලා තියෙන ඒගොල්ලෝ අර heat කියන එක mean කරන්නේ මේ steam එකෙන් heat වෙනවා කියන එක. නැතු මෙතන I don't hold a Bunsen burner. But here I hold a Bunsen burner. Here I hold a Bunsen burner and I heat this water vessel. It's just water. Then from that steam, the steam will come to vessel number 2. Here there is no Bunsen burner. So this water along with the plant leaves හරි මොන හරි එක තියෙන water එක රත් වෙන්නේ කලින් එකෙන් ආපු steam එකෙන්. That's why we call it steam distillation. With that steam, මෙතන water රත් වෙලා evaporate වෙනවා plant part එකේ තියෙන whatever that maybe the oil or something will also get evaporated vaporized. ඒතර මේ දෙකම මෙහෙම එනවා liquid condenser එකේ cool වෙලා ආයමත් liquid වෙලා water ටික පල්ලෙහා පාවෙනවා oil ටික උඩ පාවෙනවා. Okay, so the only reason why I'm not using simple distillation for this particular purpose is because in simple distillation මෙහෙම භාජන දෙකක් නෑ. There are no two vessels. There's only one vessel. And we directly supply heat to that vessel in simple distillation. However, if I use simple distillation here, the plant part might get destroyed or the chemicals might be converted to other forms or decomposed or මොන හරි වෙන්න පුළුවන්. එතකොට අපිට ඕන දේ අපිට කරගන්න වෙන්නේ නැහැ. Therefore, always plant parts වලින් oil extract කරද්දී we use steam distillation. Okay. So, in fact, A is correct. Cinnamon oil can be extracted from cinnamon leaves by using steam distillation. Petrol can be obtained from crude oil by using fractional distillation. ඒක අපි දන්නවනේ නේ. ඒක මම ආයමත් වෙනම diagram එක ගන්නෑ. You know crude oil is in Sinhala we call it බොර තෙල්. මම ගන්න ඒ දවස්වල කිව්වේ මේක තමයි crude oil is one of the most valuable resources in the current world, right? Oil reserves තියෙනවා කියලා මේ Egypt එක මේ oceans වල oil reserves තියෙනවා කියලා කියන්නේ මේ crude oil. Crude oil is a fossil fuel. It's formed taking millions and billions of years and they are found in reserves. So ඒකෙන් extract කරලා තමයි fractionating column එකකට දානවා. Fractionating column or fractionating tower. Then the crude oil is separated to different components based on the boiling point. Boiling point depending on the boiling point, crude oil will be converted to different components. What are the different components? There's LP gas, there's diesel, there's petrol. ඊට පස්සේ අර මොනවාද මේ aeroplanes වලට ඕනේ fuel, right? Fuel for ships and aeroplanes. ආයි මොනවාද එන්නේ? It was අන්තිමට ටා ඉතුරු වෙනවා, right? අන්තිමට ටා ඉතුරු වෙනවා. ටා කියන එක separate වෙන කෙනෙක් නෙවෙයි. So if you take the fractionating column, උඩම එක කට්ටිය මේ separate වෙනවා. LP gas, diesel, petrol, ship fuel, aeroplane fuel, Inca oil, it was a naphthalene, right? ඒ වගේවා මේ separate වෙනවා. Separate වෙලා අන්තිමට ඉතුරු වෙන්නේ ටා. ටා කියන්නේ separate වෙන කෙනෙක් නෙවෙයි. TA is what is remaining at the end. So that is fractional distillation. That is the most common. Is also true. C. Distilled water can be obtained from well water by using simple distillation. Well water, what does well water contain? What does well water contain? What does well water contain? Yeah, salts, minerals. Minerals can be metals jati. Yeah, even heavy metals. It can contain heavy metals. එක සමහර level ඔය මේ ගොඩක් cure රහනවා කියන well එක හොඳ නැහැ. Then the well needs to be checked. මම lesson එක කරද්දී ඔයගොල්ලන්ට කියන්න නැති. Right? අන්න ඒකට නම් අපි ඇත්තටම simple distillation තමයි use කරන්නේ. So this is the picture we learned using in the textbook. So here what we did was we took a well water sample and we directly heated using a Bunsen burner. මෙයාව directly Bunsen burner එකෙන් heat කරනවා. So now if you take metals and minerals and salts and whatever, their boiling point is higher. But water has a boiling point of 100. 100 වලට රත් වෙච්ච ගමන් all the water will be evaporated and will go through the Liebig condenser and will become liquid and මෙන්න මෙතන එකතු වෙනවා. So එතකොට අනිත්‍ය වෙන්නේ නැහැනේ. Only water. In the well water sample there are different components but only water will be evaporated, not evaporated, vaporized. Vaporized becomes steam and then goes through the Liebig condenser, becomes liquid again and you get a sample of water. Okay? So using well water, if I can get a sample of distilled water, the only technique that I can use is simple distillation. Steam distillation wage bajana dekak ඕනේ because you can directly heat it. Doesn't matter, there's nothing that would get damaged due to high heat, right? Now Libby condenser එකේ කතාවත් මම ඔයගලන්ට කිව්වා ඇයි මෙතනින් වතුර යවලා cool water යවලා මෙතනින් cool water එළියට ගන්න කියලා. Right? So එතකොට මෙතනින් එන steam එකෙන් heat එක absorb කරගන්නවා එළියේ tube එකේ තියෙන water ටික. Absorb කරලා therefore that steam will cool down and become liquid and flow as liquid water. Okay? ඒ මතක නැත්තම් ගිහලා බලා ගන්න අදාළ sections The difference between evaporation and vaporization, actually evaporation is vaporization. But මෙන්න මෙහෙමනේ අපි ඔක ඉගෙන ගත්තේ. We said if you take vaporization, vaporization means a liquid getting converted to gas. Vape එකක් වෙනවා කියන එකනේ. So liquid එකක් gas එකක් වෙන එක තමයි vaporization කියලා කියන්නේ. This can happen in two ways. Ekko boiling waladi. Let's say water, when you boil it to 100 degrees Celsius, which is the boiling point of water, the water will be converted to steam. Steam is a vapor, right? එතකොට boil කරලා ඕනම liquid එකක්, it could be water, it could be alcohol, it could be oil, any liquid. If you heat it up to the boiling point, it will boil and the liquid will be converted to gas. Okay. Another way of vaporization is evaporation. What do you think is the difference between boiling and evaporation? What is the difference between boiling and evaporation? What is the difference between boiling and evaporation? Others? So boiling happens throughout the liquid and boiling happens when we heat it to the boiling point. Boiling point එක වෙනකන් heat කරාම මුළු liquid එකම boil වෙලා water evaporate වෙනවා. Sorry, water vaporize වෙනවා. Evaporation means water particles boiling වලදී තමයි මුළු vessel එකේම තියෙන water ටික boil වෙනවා at boiling point. But evaporation, you don't have to heat it to the boiling point. Normal temperatures වලදීත් evaporation වෙනවා. Evaporation වලදී මේ surface එකේ තියෙන ටික විතරයි යන්නේ. Surface එකේ තියෙන ටික විතරයි. ඇතුළේ තියෙන water evaporate වෙන්නේ නැහැ. But boiling වල මුළු එකම දැන් boil වෙනවා කියන්නේ හැමතැනම bubbles හැදිලා the entire liquid will boil. Right? So this happens at boiling point. Evaporation එහෙම නැහැ. ඕනම temperature එකක වෙනවා. So මම මේක ඔයගලන්ට මේ lesson එක කරද්දි කියන්නේ නැති you fill a glass with water. එතන water level එක mark කරනවා mark එකකේ, right? And then you leave it out for let's say 2, 3, 4, 5 days. And then you come back and check the water level has gone down. Or mark කරපු තැනට වඩා පල්ලෙහාට ගිහිල්ලා. So what happened to water? Nobody came and boiled that water, no? කවුරුත් ඇවිල්ලා ඔක boil කරේ නැහැනේ boiling point එකට. It was just there at room temperature. But even at room temperature, the liquid water molecules on the surface can get converted to vapor. That is evaporation. Right? එතකොට සාමාන්‍ය චුට්ටක් රත් කරත් හොඳයි again. If the temperature is a bit high, it's good for evaporation. වැඩිපුර evaporate වෙනවා. So that's why when you දැන් නම් ගොඩක් දැන් සමහර ගෙවල් වල dryers එහෙම තියෙනවානේ. But even with dryers අපි පොඩක් අවුවට දානවනේ රෙදි හේදුවට පස්සේ. එතකොට රෙදි වල තියෙන water molecules මොනවද වෙන්නේ? අපි boil කරනවද water molecules ටික remove කරන්න? No, we don't boil. It just gets evaporated. Sunlight hinda, wind hinda, water molecules ටික evaporate වෙලා the cloth becomes dry. That is, vaporization is actually the same as evaporation. The only thing is that vaporization, there's another part, boiling. Boiling is one part, evaporation is another part. So they are both vaporization. Okay, Sanuli? in salt extraction we use evaporation. Samananga vaporization we call it evaporation. Because evaporation is a specific method. Salt extraction, there are two separating techniques we use. What is the other one? Evaporation. When we extract salt from seawater, we use two methods. One is, yes, as you all correctly said, evaporate. Okay, yes. Others, what do you think? What is the other separating technique we use? Yes. Crystallization. Now, salt extraction now story koge kya dilati. Okay, we definitely need that. Ahana papers wala. I have a feeling may exam eකට ඔයගොල්ලන්ගෙන් light වලින් ටිකක් significant ප්‍රශ්න කහයි කියලා. Geometric optics. Ray diagrams past papers වල අහලා තිබ්බට මට හිතෙනවා එක because light is a lesson that has a very good potential for a lot of questions. You know how light lesson is නේ ගොඩාක් ray diagrams තියෙනවා pattern and තැන. So I think there's a good chance. Again, light හොඳට බලා ගන්නවා. It's just a gut feeling, but light හොඳට බලා ගන්න ray diagrams එක දෙතුන් පාරක් practice කරන්න. I mean, it's not relevant to this. මම randomly මතක් වෙච්ච ඉඳ කිව්වේ. Light වල අපිට මොනවාද තිබ්බේ? I mean, mainly, there were like 40 points tibba, but if you take the lesson as a whole, mainly what we had was reflection and diffraction. Reflection tibba and refraction tibba. So reflection wala api loku deyak kata karenne api kata kare mirrors, right? In mirrors we talked about concave mirrors and convex mirrors. Concave mirrors, I think there were about 4 ray diagrams. Concave mirrors, about 4 ray diagrams. But convex mirrors, there was only 1 ray diagram. Refraction, we got the laws of refraction. Then we learned about total internal reflection. Right? Again. Then we talked about lenses. Lenses, convex lenses, we learned about again like 4-5 ray diagrams. And concave lenses, we learned 1 ray diagram. Yes. Hydrocarbons and biosphere, prashna hana. Hydrocarbons and biosphere, anivaryam prashna hanawa. When is your science paper? I think name the science paper ke tibbe. 9th, no? 8th. All right. So anyways, I will be sending hydrocarbons today and I will send biosphere tomorrow. Tomorrow is Saturday, right? Biosphere, well, yeah. Yes, I will send it tomorrow. Yes, biosphere could be a bit boring when you do the recording. So I was actually thinking about it. My record hydrocarbons I recorded. That is why. But then now thinking about it, since you also have the mock exam, the term tests, it's better to cover it with recordings and then we will do further questions, discussions and all that during the class. Okay. එතකොට මෙන්න මේ ray diagrams ටික අනිවාර්යෙන් බලා ගන්න. Okay. ඒ කියන්නේ බලා ගන්න කියන්නේ නිකන් පොත දිග අරගෙන බලන් හිටියා කියන වැඩක් නෑ ඕක, right? You have to practice. You take a separate piece of paper, මොකක් කටු වැඩ කොලයක් අරගෙන practice drawing ray diagrams a few times. Okay. Anyways, yes, distilled water can be obtained from well water using simple distillation. So all A, B, C are true. Which of the following reactions is a neutralization reaction? What is a neutralization reaction? What do you mean, Manisha? A light light, I was talking about O-levels. I can't say, I mean, even for O-levels, I don't predict questions because questions predict karananang. You should have a certain link to whoever's making papers so that monahari vachana can't end. Otherwise, you can't. I mean, if the paper making process is entirely done in like seclusion, kisima vachana keliyata enna vidiyak naha. ඒතර කාටවත් ඇත්තම කිව්වොත් කිසිම දෙයක් ප්‍රෙඩික්ට් කරන්න බෑ හරිනම්. මම මොකක් හරි ආරංචියක් හරි ආවොත් තමයි ටක් ගාලා ටීචර්ස්ලා ප්‍රෙඩික්ට් කරන්නේ. Right? So, if you are expecting any predicted questions, unfortunately, I cannot give because I don't have any such link. And I don't wish to have a link like that either because I think at the end of the day, it's all about honesty, right? But අපි papers ටික කරගෙන අදාළ ටික ඔක්කොම බලාගෙන ගියාම we don't have to worry about anything. Okay? So then මේ දවස් ටිකේ ආමත් දැන් if you have studied already, you can just revise. Right? Revise කරන එක අනිවාර්යෙන් කරන්න නැත්නම් අමතක වෙනවා. But if there's a lot to study and if you feel very stuck, නිකන් මම මේ කරගන්න බැරි වී වගේ එහෙම බයක් තියෙනවා නම් syllabus එක පැත්තකින් තියලා questions වලට යන්න. Now I have given you many homework. Make ඉවසේ 2017 MCQ, 2018 MCQ, like තව full papers දීලා තිබ්බා, right? Manisha, will you be able to අද දවස් ඉවරනාට පස්සේ ඉතුරු homework ටික can you put in the group? ඉවසේ මම ඒක Sunday group එකකට යවන්නම්. Okay. So එතකොට yes, so if you feel stuck and lost and you don't know what to do next, questions වලට යන්න කෙලින්. Now I also have given you many homework. Hitana, then when you are doing homework, you come across this question. You are stuck, you don't know what to do. What you are going to do is question එක පැත්තකින් තියලා this is neutralization නේ. ඔයාට idea එකක් තියෙන neutralization කියන්නේ acid basis lesson එක කියලා. මේක මෙහෙම කියලා acid basis lesson එකට ගිහිලා if it's a short lesson මුළු lesson එකම පාඩම් කරා. If it's a long lesson ඒ අදාළ කොටස විතරක් පාඩම් කරා. Okay? So if it's neutralization, acid basis lesson is a very short lesson. එක එච්චර දිග lesson එකක් නෙවෙයි. You can go and study that lesson. ඉතරේ කරන්නේ. අපයක් විතර යයි ඉතින් කරන්න දෙයක් නැහැ. ඒක පාඩම් කරලා වෙලා මේ question එක attempt කරා. So ඔයා මේ question එක attempt කරා වගේම you have now studied a lesson. And then you come to this one. Chemical formula of carbonate of element M is M2CO3. What is the chemical formula of chloride? So මෙතනට ඕනේ වෙන්නේ structure of matter lesson එක. So what make idea now? You go to the third lesson, grade 10 third lesson. And you are going to study the radical table, you are going to study valencies and all that, and you come back and attempt this. So make answer kat kerila ayatare article revise kar. So structure of matter is quite a long lesson. Itru mulu lesson ekam padam kare nathat valency වලට අදාළ ටික පාඩම් කළා you can attempt this. ඒක අලුතෙන් පාඩම් කරන අයටත් එහෙම revise කරන අයටත් you can use the same method. Okay? Then මේකට එනවා. එතකොට එක paper එකක් කරන්න ගොඩාක් වෙලාව යනවා. It's okay. ඔයා හරි කරගෙන it's not just the paper. You have revised a few lessons, studied a few lessons. Then you come to 29. මේකට idea එකක් තියෙනවානේ මේක මොන lesson එකේද කියලා. This is quantification lesson. මේක මෙහෙම පැත්තකින් තියලා you go to the quantification lesson. Quantification lesson is not very lengthy. You can study the whole lesson. පැයක් එකමාරක් අරගෙන මුල් lesson එකම පාඩම් කරා. Right? පාඩම් කරලා then you come and attempt this question. So this question is not your primary target, it's studying that lesson. ඒකත් එක මේ question එක මේ answer කරා. Then you come to this. මේකත් එන්නේ ගොඩක්ම අපේ third lesson එකේ structure of matter. Again you go to that lesson, you study. එතකොට කොට lessons ඔක්කොම ඔයා මුළු lesson එක පිටින්ම study කරලා. If they are long lessons, ඔයා part එක පාඩම් කරලා අන්තිමට බලන්න ටික පාඩම් කරලා. That is the method that you should go for now. Okay? If there's if you have not been studying. මොකද මට ඔයගොල්ලන් personally හැමෝම වෙන evaluate කරේ නැහැ. මම ගොඩක් වෙලාවට ඔයගොල්ලන් ගැන idea එකක් ගන්න from the way you answer to questions during the class. So but you know what your current status is. එතකොට මොනාත්ම කෙරුන් නැත්තම් ඔයගොල්ලන්ගෙන් කියන්නේ මොනාත්ම පාඩම් කෙරුන් නැත්තම් even now it is a bit late but it's not too late කියලා හිතලා අපි positively will approach. දැන් ඔයගොල්ලන් පාඩම් කරන්න බලන් ඉන්නවනම් now use that method. Lessons පාඩම් කරන්න යන්න එපා මේ question paper එක අතේ නැතුව. Question paper එක කරන ගමන් lessons පාඩම් කරන්න. Okay? That's the only way that you should use now. දැන් මුලින් ඉඳන් lessons පාඩම් කරන්න ගියොත් එහෙම එකක්වත් කෙරෙන්නේ නැහැ ළමයි. Yeah, trust me when I say that. So after studying science, how many times should we revise to refresh memory? I think it depends. මෙහෙමයි. ඔයගොල්ලන් ඒකත් questions වලින්ම කරන්න පුළුවන්. Right? When you're doing a question paper, ඔයාලට අග්ගල answer එක මතක් වෙනවා කියන්නේ ඔයාලට ඒක හොඳට මතකේ තියෙනවා. Your memory is good. But hitana, you come to another question. Let's say you are trying to do this question and you get stuck. Mataka naha. तो आगे lesson का revise करना. मुझे lesson का revise करना, मैं question करना. Revise करना can you have already studied no? Then revise करना වැඩි වෙලා යන්නේ. Right. මුල් lesson එකක් පාඩම් කරන්න ගියොත් තමයි ගොඩක් වෙලා වෙන්නේ. එතකොට now from y'all I'm not discriminating. I'm not discriminating or differentiating y'all. But ඕගොල්ලන් සමහර අය හොඳට පාඩම් කරනවා, සමහර අය පාඩම් කරන කම්මැලි. That is a very normal thing නේ. ඒක හැම ඕනම ළමයි සෙට් එකක තියෙනවා. Right? එතකොට පාඩම් කරලා තියෙන ළමයින්ට තියෙන රිවයිස් කරන එක. පාඩම් කරලා නැති අයට තියෙන පාඩම් කරන එක. Right? පාඩම් කරලා නැතුව දැන් lost වෙලා ඉන්න ළමයින්ට තමයි මම කිව්වේ question wise ගිහිල්ලා ඒ question එකට අදාළ lesson එක පාඩම් කරලා පොඩි lesson එකක් නම් එක පාඩම් කරන ලොකු lesson එකක් නම් ඒ අදාළ part එක පාඩම් කරලා attempt the question papers දෙකක් විතර කරනකොට ඔයගොල්ලන් syllabus එකේ ලොකු කොටසක් revise වෙලා මේ පාඩම් කරලා ඉවරයි. That is for those of you who are trying to study now. For those of you who are revising now, පාඩම් කරලා ඉවරයි දැන් revise කරන අයටත් ඒ method එකම use කරන්න. ඔයා questions ම කරන්න when you're trying questions, if you can quickly answer, no problem. ඒ කියන්නේ ඔගේ memory එක හොඳයි. ඒ තෝට හිතනවා නම් පොඩි හරි doubt එකක් තියෙනවා නම් ඒ lesson එකට ගිහලා පොඩ්ඩක් go through කරන්න. Revise කරගන්න. ඒතර මොකක් හරි question එක stuck වෙනවා කියන්නේ ඔගේ memory එක හොඳ නැහැ. එතකොට ඒ lesson එකට ගිහලා revise කරන්න. ඒතර දෙගොල්ලන්ටම මේ mechanism එක use කරන්න. දැන් ඕගොල්ලන් හිතනවා නම් නෑ papers කරන්න බෑ මම මුලින්ම syllabus එක පාඩම් කරලා ඉන්න ඕනේ without studying the syllabus I don't want to do papers කියලා don't do that. Papers අතහැරලා දාලා syllabus එක කරන්න යන්න එපා දැන්. It's too late for that. අපි එකින්ද හැම වෙලේම දැන් තියන නම් ඕගොල්ලන් පාඩම් කරපු නැති එකට ඕගොල්ලන්ට දැන් බැලලා වැඩක් නැහැනේ. මොකද ඒක ඒ කාලේ ගිහිලා ඉවරයි දැන්. දැන් මට ඕගොල්ලන්ට කියන්න පුළුවන් දැන් ඉස්සරහට කරන්න තියෙන්නේ. That's why I'm not even scolding you all now. Because scolding there's no point in that at this point. Right? ඒ කියන්නේ දැන් අපි හදන්න ඕනේ දැන් තියෙන situation එකෙන් අපි කොහොමද better situation එකකට යන්නේ කියලා. So ඒ විදිහට කරන්න papers ටික 2016 ඉඳන් papers ටික කරන්න. Even I have given you homework. I mean මම දීලා නැති වුණොත් ඔයගොල්ලෝ කරන්න පුළුවන්. Because I will be discussing at some point. Okay. Neutralization means acid එකකුයි base එකකුයි react කරනවා. Right? So you know when an acid and a base reacts, yes, salt එකකුයි waterයි හැදිලා. දැන් මම discuss කරනකොට ඒ අදාළ කොටස revise කරන්න something like that. So acid එකකින් mainly release වෙන්නේ මොනවද ළමයි? What is an acid? මට answer කාව chat box එකේ. Others also tell. What exactly is an acid? How do we define an acid? What does it release? H plus ions. Always lamai acid එකක් define කරන්න කිව්වොත් නැත්නම් what is an acid කියලා හුවොත් H plus ions. A compound that releases H plus ions to the water medium or the aqueous medium. That is an acid. What does a base release? OH minus. May acid decay base decay H plus and OH minus ions will combine and form water. එහෙම තමයි මේ water හැදෙන්නේ. Now you know acid bases reactions are double displacement reactions නේ. එතකොට salt එකක් හැදෙනවා but salt එක නෙමෙයි water ගත්තොත්. If I talk about water, the H plus ions released by an acid and the OH minus ions released by a base, those two will react and form water. So for an example, අපිට most common acid එක ගත්තොත් එම HCl. අපි ගමු H2SO4. H2SO4 base එකට ගමු අපි KOH. You know this is a double displacement reaction. So potassium set වෙනවා sulfate එක්ක. Potassium sulfate එක set වෙද්දී you know potassium ගේ valency 1, sulfate ගේ valency 2, cross වුණාම potassium to 2, sulfate to 1. Right? So potassium to 2, sulfate to 1. Plus මෙතන H මෙතන OH එක set වෙනවා. So you know that will create water. So when you balance, මෙතන potassium දෙන්නෙක් කියනවා. So I put 2 here. So 2 potassium, sulfate එකයි හරි. මෙතන H දෙකක් තියෙනවා. මෙතනත් H දෙකක් තියෙනවා. මෙතන තියෙන්නේ H දෙකයි. So I put 2. So then there will be 4 H and 2 oxygen. So that is balanced. So here, this and this got together and formed the salt. And what about water? Methaniන් ආපු H plus උයි methaniන් ආපු OH minus උයි, those two are the ones that combined and form this, which is water. H plus ions and OH minus ions එකතු වෙලා water හදන එක තමයි neutralization කියන්නේ. Neutral වෙනවා. Neutralize. Acid එකේ H plus ions උයි base එකේ OH minus ions උයි neutralize වෙනවා. Balance වෙනවා. Right? So we have to see which one of these are neutralized, which one of these is a neutralization reaction. If you look at number 1, it doesn't seem like a neutralization reaction because the water hadila nahi. Okay, we'll leave it. Number 2, again water hadila nahi, so it doesn't seem like one. Number 4, again water hadila nahi, so it doesn't seem like one. So the neutralization reaction will be 3. Methana Na and Cl will form NaCl, which is a salt, and methana HCl will H plus ions and NaOH will OH minus ions will get together to form water, H2O. The chemical formula of the carbonate of an element M is M2CO3. What is the chemical formula of the chloride of M? Tell one of answers. M can not be done. M is something that we don't know. M is just a fake symbol. Okay, we'll see. Chemical formula of the carbonate of an element M is M2CO3. I will solve this. Where do I solve it? M2CO3 තමයිලු හැදෙන්නේ. Okay. M2CO3 කියන්නේ carbonate එකනේ. So M කියන එක්කෙනා carbonate ion එකක් එක්ක එකතු වුණාම තමයි M2CO3 හැදෙන්නේ. What is the valency of carbonate ion? Or what is the charge of the carbonate ion? Hmm? 2 minus, yes. The charge is 2 minus. If the charge is 2 minus, valence is 2. M වල valence එක මම දන්නේ නැහැ. Cross වුණාම මෙන්න මෙහෙම cross වෙලා හැදෙනවා කියන්නේ මොකද්ද? In the question they have given no. හැදෙන්නේ M2CO3. හැදෙන්නේ M2CO3. M ට කොහොමත් carbonate වල 2 වෙනවනේ. So M2 කියන එක අවුලක් නැහැ. CO3 එහෙම්මම ඇවිල්ලා. එහෙම්මම ඇවිල්ලා කියලා කියන්නේ මෙතන තියෙන්න ඕනේ number 1, right? Valency of M should be 1 නේද? එතකොට අපිට හරියන්නේ නෙමෙයි. If the valency of M is 1 and carbonate වල valency 2 cross වුණාම M ට 2 වෙනවා, carbonate මොනවත් ඇවිල්ලා නැහැ, so it's just CO3. Therefore valency of M should be 1. Is that clear? No. What about others? Okay. Then MCl ගත්තොත් දැන් chloride එකනේ හන්නේ අපේ. So this M metal M reacts with Cl. එතකොට එන chemical chemical formula එක හන්නේ. දැන් M වල valence එක අපි මෙතන හොයාගත්තා. It's 1 here. So I will put 1 here. What is the valency of Cl? 1. Right? Remember valency කොහොමද periodic table එකේ 1 2 3 4 3 2 1 0. So this is 1. Cross වෙනවා M ටත් 1 Cl ටත් 1, so it's MCl. Okay? So that is how you get the first answer. So the first one is the answer, yes. First one is the answer. Then 29. What is the number of oxygen atoms in 22 grams of carbon dioxide gas? What is the answer you put? Second answer. Others? Samaneng, when you're given something like this, mulim api danna ටික මතක් කරගන්න. ගොඩක් අයට ඔයගලන් කරන්නේ question එක දැක්කම you get very confused. දන්නේව හිතන්නෙත් නෑ, අහන්නේ මොනවද කියලා හරියට බලන්නෙත් නෑ. ඔක්කොම පටලවා ගන්නවා. එහෙම කරන්න එපා. If you feel that it's confusing, if you feel like අන්න මට දැන් පැටලුණා කියලා හරි. question එක අමතක කරන්න. මොනවද මෙතන තියෙන්නේ? පේනවනේ Avogadro related තියෙනවා. 22 grams of carbon dioxide ඔහොමම තියෙනවා. Then you try to remember what do I know about this? What do I know? මේ Avogadro constant තියෙනවනේ answers වල. ඒකින්ද මම මතක් කරගන්නවා Avogadro constant. In Avogadro constant, we have learned that 1 mole is equal to 6.022 into 10 to the power 23 atoms or molecules or whatever. Lamai, now when I'm trying these questions with you, I'm approaching the questions in a certain way. That is the way that you should approach. Can කෙලින්ම ඔයගන්ට answer ගන්න පුළුවන් හොඳ memory එකක් තියෙනවා නම් it's okay. But සමහර වෙලාවට ඔයගොල්ලෝ සමහර අමතක වෙනවානේ. Right? That's why. Now here, as I said, one of the tricks you can use if you feel confused about a question is forget about the question. ඒකේ keywords ටික අරන් බලන්න මම මොනවද මේවා ගැන දන්නේ. So මෙතන Avogadro constant තිබ්බා. Let's say I got confused. මට එකපාරට හිතා ගන්න බෑ. But Avogadro constant කිව්වම what I know is that 1 mole is equal to 6.022 into 10 to the power 23. It could be atoms, it could be molecules, whatever. එතකොට මෙතන carbon dioxide කොච්චර the mole if I want to get the Avogadro constant I need to know the moles because I know 1 mole has 6.022 into 10 to the power 23 but mass එකක් දුන්නා කියලා මට එකපාරට හොයාගන්න බෑ. So when I have this mass carbon dioxide mass එක තියෙද්දී carbon dioxide mass එක දීලා තියෙනවානේ 22 grams කියලා. I need to convert it to moles. To get an understanding, I need to convert it to moles. Moles වලට convert කරොත් විතරයි මට Avogadro constant එකත් එක්ක ඒක ගැන understand කරන්න පුළුවන්. How do I convert it to moles? What is the equation I use? 22 grams of carbon dioxide. I want to convert it to moles. What is the equation that I should use? N equals simple M over capital M. Simple M over capital M. N is the number of moles. That is what I want to find out. M is the given mass. That is 22 grams. Capital M is the molar mass. So molar mass එක හොයන්න ඕනේ data ටිකත් ඒගොල්ලන් දීලා තියෙනවා. Carbon is 12, oxygen is 16. So here there are in carbon dioxide there are 2 oxygens. So 2 times 16 is 32. Carbon 12. So 32 plus 12 is 44. So molar mass here 44 grams per mole. So 22 grams divided by 44 grams per mole. Therefore, N is equal to 22 divided by 44 is 0.5 moles. මේ ඇවිල්ලා ළමයි carbon dioxide moles ගන්න. These are carbon dioxide moles. Let's go back to the question. What is the number of oxygen atoms in 22 grams of carbon dioxide? Carbon dioxide moles gana gatta, but what I need is oxygen. So carbon dioxide 0.5 moles තියෙනවා කියන්නේ. You know 1 mole has 6.022 into 10 to the power 23. So in carbon dioxide there is 0.5 moles in it. In a 0.5 moles වල තියෙන්න ඕනේ 0.5 moles means half a mole, right? 0.5 කියන්නේ half නේ. එහෙනම් මේ වගේ half තියෙන්න ඕනේ. Half of 6.022 into 10 to the power 23. This is the number of carbon dioxide molecules. But what I want is the number of oxygen atoms. එක carbon dioxide එකක oxygen atoms කීයක් තියෙනවද? Eka carbon dioxide ekaka, how many oxygen atoms are there? Others? Yes. Others? Fast. One carbon dioxide has two oxygen atoms. එහෙනම් මෙතන 0.5 moles of carbon dioxide වල oxygen atoms කීයක් තියෙනවද? double. That would be 1 mole. මෙයාගේ double එක, right? එතන මෙයාගේ double එක කියලා කියන්නේ twice of this is 22 capital. It's just 6.022 into 10 to the power 23. Why? Because carbon dioxide ekaka, there is one carbon and two oxygens. So if there is carbon dioxide, if there is 0.5 moles of carbon dioxide, there is 0.5 moles of carbon, and here 2 times oxygen. So 0.5 times 2, that is 1 mole of oxygen atoms. Therefore, 1 mole of oxygen atoms can is 6.022 into 10 to the power 23. Is that clear, Lamai? Give me a thumbs up if you understood that. If you have any questions, please do ask. Therefore, the second one is the answer. Second one is the answer. Question එක දැක්කම බය වෙන්න එපා. මම දන්නේ නැති වගේ හිතනවා දන්නේ ඒවා ටික මතක් කරගන්න. Same with maths, especially geometry. Right? 3 properties of a particular element are given below, occurs in crystalline. Okay, right. Occurs in අපි එක බලමු. මේකට මුලින් මාර්ක්ස් එක කියන්න බලන්න. What is the answer you got for this? I'm getting both answers. 3 and 4 දෙකම එනවා. Okay. Occurs in crystalline form and amorphous form. Crystalline and amorphous. Again, allotropic forms. Where do I discuss that? අපි මෙතන discuss කරමු. So allotropic forms අපි දෙකක් ඉගෙන ගත්තා. එකක් we learned that carbon has allotropic forms. එතකොට carbon වල මොනවාද crystalline forms, මොනවාද amorphous forms කියලා අපි ඉගෙන ගත්තා. If you take carbon, what are the crystalline forms of carbon? What are the crystalline forms of carbon? Diamond, graphite. And you know, carbon is a non-metal. So non-metals generally have a low density, but diamond is an exception. Diamond is the only non-metal with a high density. Actually, diamond has the highest density. Then carbon is a non-metal, so generally non-metals do not conduct electricity. However, graphite is a special one. It's a form of carbon. It can conduct electricity. Then what are the amorphous forms of carbon? Soot, dali, charcoal, anguru, coal, also galanguru, right? So crystalline amorphous the difference is crystalline atoms are very nicely arranged. The lattice is very nicely arranged. Amorphous randomly arranged. So therefore, crystalline forms, they're crystals. Even when you put that under the microscope, that will still look like crystals. But amorphous powder if you hammer it, it will become a powder. So carbon, we have learned that there are allotropic forms, but not just carbon. We also learned that sulfur. Mama examples kata karadi kalinut sulfur mention kaltiya. Sulfur also has crystalline and amorphous forms. How does the crystalline form of sulfur look like? How does the crystalline form of sulfur looks like? How does the crystalline form of sulfur look like? Yes, it is a yellow solid. It's a yellow solid. Mama ke pictures of phenela thiyena, so I'm not going to take the time again. Na? Then how does the amorphous form of sulfur look like? It is a white powder. නිකන් අර milk powder වගේ. Milk powder palm පිටි වගේ, කිරි පිටි වගේ නිකන් white powder එකක්. crystalline එක yellow solid එකක් නිකන් අර නිකන් ගල් කෑලි කෑලි attach වෙලා වගේ නිකන් තියෙන්නේ. So both carbon and sulfur has amorphous form. Sorry. Both carbon and sulfur has allotropic forms as crystalline and amorphous. ඒක හින්දා අපි මෙතනට ගියාම first question එකේ when they say occurs in crystalline form and amorphous form, it could be both of this. මේගොල්ලන් වෙන්න විදියක් නැහැ. Metals වල we didn't learn that. So it's either carbon or sulfur. Insoluble in water but very soluble in carbon CS2 solvent. We don't have much of an idea, ne? Insoluble in water but very soluble in CS2 solvent. We don't know much about that. So we'll just leave it. Burns with a blue flame in air. මෙන්න මේකෙන් තමයි අපි අල්ලගන්නේ. Only sulfur burns with a blue flame in air. What is the element that burns with a bright white flame? What is the element that burns with a bright white flame? Okay, I got one answer. Another answer. Again, let me tell you the question. What is the element that burns with a bright white flame? It is magnesium. ඒ වගේම මතක තියාගන්න ළමයි, the element that burns with a blue flame. It's also very nice blue color. That is sulfur. ඒකෙන් තමයි ඔයා මේක අල්ලගන්නේ. Because second point again ලොකුට idea එකක් නෑ උගලන්ට. Insoluble in water, okay. Soluble in CS2. CS2 සමහර විට ඔයගලන්ට මතක ඇති ඒක inorganic එකක් කියලා. But even then you don't know much again. So sulfur. The answer is sulfur. My third point again තමයි මේක අල්ලගන්න. Okay. Up to that point, is everything clear? Thumbs up, please. Thumbs up. Okay, let's move on to the next questions. I will put the question. No, one second. I will put the question to the whiteboard. Okay. 31. The limiting frictional force between two objects with rough surfaces in contact depends on. Limiting frictional force වලට we talked about a few factors. Limiting frictional force depends on what? එකක් තමයි nature of the surfaces in contact. Limiting frictional force depends on the nature of the surfaces in contact. If the surfaces are smooth, limiting frictional force is low. If the surfaces are rough, limiting frictional force is high. Then the second one is perpendicular reaction force. Perpendicular reaction force. So you know perpendicular reaction force depends on the weight. අපි කතා කරා. හරි අපි එක grade 10 වලදී we talked, right? You may have learned. So the grade 10 ඉඳන් grade 11 my classes වලට අපි ගොඩක් limited කට්ටියක් නේ. So yes, perpendicular reaction force. What is the factor that does not affect limiting frictional force? Area of the surfaces in contact. Yes. If you take area, මෙයා depend වෙන්නේ නැහැ. එහෙනම් මෙන්න මේ දෙන්න තමයි අපිට ඕනේ දෙන්න. We'll see. Area of the contact surfaces we just said it doesn't affect. Normal reaction and nature of the contact surfaces, yes. Nature of the contact surfaces and area, no. මොකද area තියෙනවනේ එතන. Area of the contact surfaces and normal reaction, again, area තියෙනින්ද නැහැ. So the second one is the answer. Second one is the answer. All right. Okay. Gravitational acceleration on the moon is 1/6 that of the Earth. If the gravitational acceleration on the Earth is 10 ms minus 2, what would be the weight of an astronaut of mass 60 kilograms on the moon? What is the answer? Okay, others? Okay. Here the equation is W equals mg, right? අපෙන් අහන්නේ moon එකේනේ. moon එකට අදාළව අපෙන් අහන්නේ. So මම moon එකට calculation එක හදන්න. They are asking the weight of this astronaut on the moon. Weight එක අපෙන් අහනවා moon වල. So weight equals mg ne. What is the mass of this astronaut? 60 kilograms. You know, mass doesn't change. ඔයා Earth එකේ නෙවෙයි, moon එකේ නෙවෙයි, Mars වල නෙවෙයි, කොහේ හිටියත් ඔයාගේ mass එක වෙනස් වෙන්නේ නැහැ. Weight එක විතරයි වෙනස් වෙන්නේ. Weight එක වෙනස් වෙන්නේ gravitational acceleration වෙනස් වෙන හින්දා. But your mass is a constant value. It doesn't change. So if the astronaut has a mass of 60 kilograms, whether he is on Earth or on the moon, that will not change. So the mass is 60 kilograms. Mass is 60 kilograms. Gravitational acceleration. Then අපි දන්නවා Earth එකේදී නම් gravitational acceleration එක 10 ms minus 2. But moon එකේ value එක දීලා නැහැ. හැබැයි අපිට කියනවා gravitational acceleration on the moon is 1/6 that of the Earth. Earth එක වගේ 1/6. So if the gravitational acceleration on the Earth is 10, moon එකේ මොකද වෙන්නේ? 1/6 that of the gravitational acceleration of the Earth තමයි moon එකේ gravitational acceleration එක. So Earth එකේ gravitational acceleration එක වගේ 1/6. Okay, so that is the gravitational acceleration on the moon. Now we will simplify. 6 times 1 is 6, 6 times 10 is 60, 10 times 10 is, you get the answer as 100 newtons. So that is the answer, right? Answer is 100 newtons. 100 newtons. All right. Mole fraction of NaOH in a solution formed when 2 moles of NaOH is dissolved in 10 moles of water. That's easy. What is it? Mole fraction of a hand. Others? Others? තුන්දෙනාම answers කිව්වේ. හතර දෙනයි පස් දෙනයි. There are 16 of y'all. 7, 8. Okay. Mole fraction of NaOH in a solution, 2 moles of NaOH, 10 moles of water. කොහොමද මේ mole fraction හොයන්නේ? Mole fraction of a particular, now here they are asking the mole fraction of NaOH. So mole fraction of NaOH කියන්නේ moles of NaOH divided by the total number of moles. Moles of NaOH, you have to divide by the total number of moles. So here, what is the moles of NaOH? NaOH 2 moles use කරලා තියෙනවා. And then what is the total number of moles, lamai? Water තියෙනවා 10 moles, NaOH 2 moles, so altogether the total is 12. මේක තමයි ඔයගොල්ලන් පටලව ගන්න. Water 10 moles දැක්ක ගම you put 10 here. That is just the number of moles of water. මෙතන අපිට ඕනේ total moles ගන්න. So that should be 12. Then when I simplify, mole cancel වෙනවා. 2 times 1 is 2, 2 times 6 is 12. So the answer is 1 over 6. Okay. So the mole fraction here is 1 over 6. Then electrochemistry. I wonder if you remember because අපි grade 11 මුලම කාලේ වගේ electrochemistry කරා. මුලම කියන්නේ yeah. ටිකක් මුල කාලේ වගේ තමයි අපි කරේ electrochemistry, right? Electrochemical cell එකක් තියෙනවා. Which of the following statements is false regarding the electrochemical cell? What is the answer? So we have iron strip, copper strip, iron ඉන්නවා, copper ඉන්නවා. We have a wire, no ammeter. It is immersed in dilute sulfuric. What gets oxidized? What gets oxidized? මේදරගේ කවුද activity series එකේ උඩින්ම ඉන්නේ? Fe and copper. Fe, no? Fe is at the top. It's above copper in the activity series. Therefore, Fe will get oxidized first. Oxidized with the Fe2 plus 2 electrons. So this is the oxidation reaction. So you know the main solution එකේ මොනවද තියෙන්නේ? Dilute sulfuric means H plus තියෙනවා solution එකේ, sulfate තියෙනවා solution එකේ. It's dilute sulfuric acid නේ. Then ළමයි මෙතන මේ oxidation reaction එකේ හැදෙන Fe2 plus ions will jump to the solution. Then 2 electrons are remaining. Electrons කැමති wires වලට යන්නනේ. So electrons මෙතන එකතු වෙලා අන්තිමට ගොඩාක් එකතු වුණාට පස්සේ වෙන්නේ ඒගොල්ලන් මේ wire එක දිගේ copper පැත්තට යනවා. The electrons. Okay. So here because electrons temporarily get collected there, we give this a minus charge. එයාට comparatively මෙයාට අපි plus charge එකක් තියෙනවා කියලා කියනවා. මෙයාට minus charge එකක් දුන්නේ because electrons temporarily get collected there. Okay, then these electrons come towards copper. So who's going to take the electrons? Will copper take the electrons? Will copper take the electrons? No, copper can a metal එකක්. Copper never takes electrons. Metals usually they like to remove electrons, right? They don't take. Then what will take? Will this Fe2 plus in the solution take those electrons again? No. එයා දැන් already අයින් කරලානේ ගියා. මත electrons ගන්න නැහැ. No point. Will sulfate take these electrons? Yes or no? No, because sulfate already has a minus charge. ඒක තමයි යාගේ constant charge එක. So sulfate will not. එහෙනම් එකම එක්කෙනා ඉතුරු වෙන H plus ions. ඒගොල්ලන් මේ copper පැත්තට එන electrons H plus ions මෙම copper strip එක ළඟට යනවා. ගිහිල්ලා electrons ටික ගන්නවා. So H plus ions will go towards the copper strip, take the electrons and form H. මෙම H කියලා තනියෙන් අයින් නැහැ. So therefore 2H plus ions will go and take 2 electrons and form 2H. So AH දෙන්න එකතු වෙලා H2 gas එක හදනවා. Therefore copper strip එක ළඟ මෙහෙම H2 gas එක හැදෙලා bubbles විදියට හැදෙනවා. හැදෙලා liberate වෙනවා. So oxidation means removing electrons. So that is this reaction. Reduction means taking electrons. Therefore this is the reduction reaction. So oxidation වෙන location එකට අපි කියන්නේ anode එක කියලා. So oxidation happens near the iron electrode. So that is the anode. Reduction වෙන location එකට අපි කියනවා cathode කියලා. So this reduction reaction happens near the copper strip. Therefore copper is the cathode. ඔයාට ඊපස්සේ මේ දෙක add කරලා overall reaction එක ලියන්නත් පුළුවන්. right? Ape clear more nang metana. This is the first reaction. This is the second reaction. 1 and 2 you add. So you get Fe plus 2H plus 2 electrons on this side. Then on this side, you get Fe2 plus 2 electrons and H2. Fe2 plus 2 electrons plus H2. Okay, you can see both sides have 2 electrons, so I will cancel them off and I have Fe plus 2H Fe2 plus H2. This we call the balanced ionic equation or the overall ionic equation. Make it overall or balanced ionic equation. Then how do I write the chemical equation of this? How do I write the chemical equation of this? Alamai? How do I write the chemical equation? So here sulfate ion එක තියෙනවනේ. So sulfate ion එක include කරලා reaction එක ලියන්න ඕනේ නේ. So දෙපැත්තටම sulfate ion එක දානවා. Yeah. So here Fe කොහොමත් ඒ විදිහටම තමයි තියෙන්නේ 2H plus with sulfate H2SO4 එහෙම තමයි මුලින්ම reaction එකේ තිබ්බේ කොහොමත්. Then Fe2 plus with sulfate will form FeSO4 and H2 gas will be formed. This is called the balanced chemical equation or the overall chemical equation. Hari. Balanced chemical equation. Up to this point, is it clear? Thumbs up, please. This is an electrochemical cell. Huh? Others? Okay. Here, my electrons are moving from iron strip to copper strip. Then what is the direction of the current? What is the direction of the current? What is the direction of the current? Copper to iron. So current will be going from copper to iron. Positive to negative, yes. Okay, what are the observations that you can get here? Observations means අපේ sensory organs වලට අහු වෙනව විතරයි. So what are the observations? What are the observations? Okay. Others? Yeah. Okay, එකක් තමයි you can see the Fe strip. The Fe strip එක dissolve වෙවි යනකොට it gradually disappears or gradually dissolves. Iron strip එක. So that is one of the observations. So one of the observations is Fe strip gradually dissolves or disappears or whatever. Then the other one is you can see, as you said, gas bubbles at the copper strip. H2 gas හැදෙනවානේ, hydrogen gas. So gas bubbles evolve near the copper strip. So I got some other answers. Ammeter deflection එකක් පෙන්නනවා කියලා මෙතන කියන්න බෑ because they have not connected an ammeter here. If there was an ammeter, you can say ammeter shows a deflection because there is a current. But මෙතන ammeter එකක් connect කරලා නැති වුණාම ඔයාලට ammeter කතන්දරේ කියන්න බෑ. Also, blue color of the solution disappears කියන එක මෙතන කියන්න බෑ. Because here the solution is H2SO4. It is a colorless solution. ඒක කියන්න පුළුවන් එකම එක තැනයි තියෙන්නේ. If the solution was copper sulfate, මේ copper ions වලට මොන හරි වෙනවා නම් තමයි blue color එක disappear වෙන්නේ. Because in copper sulfate, we have copper 2 plus ions and sulfate 2 minus ions. These copper 2 plus ions have a very nice blue color. That is why in copper sulfate solution, that solution is blue. But in H2SO4, the solution is not blue. So we can't get that. Observations. So we will try to apply this to our question and try to find an answer. Answer number 1 is iron strip act as the anode. මෙතන iron එක තමයි anode නේ. So that is correct. That is correct. A reduction reaction occurs at the copper strip. Copper strip එක කියන්නේ cathode එක. Cathode එකේ වෙන්නේ reduction. Because copper strip එක ළඟනේ මේ H plus ions electrons අරන් H2 හදන්නේ. So that is also true. Third one, gas bubbles evolve rapidly at the iron strip. Is this true? No, because gas bubbles evolve at the copper strip, not the iron strip. So this is the false one. අපි අනිත් එකත් කියවලා බලමු. Electrons flow towards the copper strip from across the external wire. Yes, electrons flow towards the copper strip. That is also correct. Then third one is the false statement. Okay, up to that question, is everything clear? Let's move on to the next one. Okay. Then let's move on to the next set of questions. Let me get this to the whiteboard. 1 second. We have like තව කීයක් තියෙන්නේ? 5ක් නේද? 34. හයක් තියෙනවානේ. Okay. Let me get this question set to the whiteboard. To 38. One second, money. මම whiteboard එකට කියවන්න හදිස්සියේ මම එවලා තිබුණ නැත්තම් මට පොඩක් group එකේ දාන්න. Group එකේ මතක් කරන්න. Answer questions number 35 and 36 using the circuit below. What is this circuit? We have two resistors. One is 18 ohm. The other one is also 18 ohm and they are connected parallelly. And we have SPQRS points and then මෙතන 6 volt dry cell එකක් තියෙනවා. What is the current I produced by the cell? What did you get as the answer there? Okay. voltage theorem. So current one equation in this particular case, we can use V equals IR. But okay, so voltage we have 6 volt. But the problem is resistance values දෙකක් තියෙනවා. එහෙනම් මුලින්ම අපි equivalent resistance හොයලා ඉන්න ඕනේ. So these are connected parallelly, and when we find equivalent resistance, we use 1 over R equals 1 over R1 plus 1 over R2. So here 1 over R1 is 18 ohm, R2 is also 18. So we have 1 over 18 plus 1 over 18 kind of common denominator, so that is 2 over 18. ඒ කියන්නේ දෙන්න දෙපැත්ත මාරු කරාම cross multiplication කරලා ගත්තාම R equals 18 divided by 2, which is 9 ohm. This lesson is මෙන්න මෙතන මෙන්න මේක current electricity lesson එක. This is current electricity, which is the 9th lesson, 19th lesson, sorry, 19th lesson in grade 10. මේක electromagnetism. මේ දෙකනේ අපිට හොයන්න කියලා තියෙන්නේ. So this is electromagnetism. So here we found the equivalent resistance. And then I will use my V equals IR equation. Voltage is 6 volt. Current, I don't know. Resistance is 9 ohm. Then current equals, may පැත්තේ 6 තියෙනවා, may 9 එහා පැත්තට ගෙනිච්චාම division වෙනවා. So current equals 3 times 2 is 6, 3 times 3 is 9, that is 2 over 3 amperes. So what are the answers we have? So the second one is the answer, 2 over 3. Due to the current I flows through the straight conducting part SP. SP වල කොහමද current එක යන්නේ? මෙහෙම ගිහලා current එක යන්නේ මෙන්න මෙහෙම පල්ලෙහාට. Right, SP. A magnetic field is formed around SP. Select the option which indicates correctly the direction of the magnetic field. කියන්න බලන්න. Others? SP වල current කොහොමද පල්ලෙහාට යන්නේ ළමයි? So එතන first one could be an option, but second cannot be. මොකද එතන current පෙන්නන්නේ උඩ පැත්තට. So second one is not possible. Then third one again current උඩට යන්නේ, so that is also not possible. But fourth එක current පල්ලෙහාට යන්නේ, so that is a possible answer. Because of a conducting wire, the magnetic field that is formed around that wire, we can use the right hand grip rule to find that. So I take my right hand, I arrange it like, I keep it like this, right? Then current is going down, so I point my thumb down. එතකොට මගේ අනිත් fingers හතර මේ පැත්තට තමයි rotate වෙන්නේ. ඒ පැත්ත rotate වෙනවා කියන්නේ it cannot be 1, no? It has to be 2. Sorry, it has to be 4. 4 should be the answer. ඔගාන තේරුණාද ළමයි ඒක? 35, 36 දෙකම තේරුණාද? Give me a thumbs up. තේරුණ නැති කවුරු ඉන්නවනම් please ask ළමයි. Okay, give me 1 second. Okay, 37. Consider the object A which is kept on a smooth horizontal surface. Smooth can friction hai. Two horizontal forces, 15 Newton and X Newton, are acting on A as shown in the figure. If the object is moving in the direction of the force X with a resultant force of 10 Newtons, that's easy. Ne? What is the value of X then? Yes. X के පැත්තට move වෙනවා කියන්නේ මේ පැත්තට 15 තියෙනවා. X के පැත්තට move වෙනවා කියන්නේ තව 10ක් වැඩි වෙන්න ඕනේ. So that is 25. 25 newtons. ඒක නම් explain කරන්න යන්නේ නැහැ, but if it's unclear, let me know. Consider the following data relevant to the motion of a child in a straight line path from a certain point. The child has moved at a uniform velocity. Okay. What is the answer you got for this? What is the answer you got for this? Okay. The child has moved at a uniform velocity in the first 3 seconds. First 3 seconds වල time එක තප්පරෙන් තප්පරේ වැඩි වෙද්දි displacement එකත් equally වැඩි වෙලා. මෙතන 2 වැඩි වෙලා, මෙතන another 2, මෙතන another 2. So the first one is correct. The total time that the child remained at rest is 5 seconds. බලන්න මෙතන ඉඳන් the total time the child remained at rest. Yeah, third second is 6 කියන displacement එකට ආවා. So third second to fourth second there is 1 second. Fourth to fifth there's another second. So මෙතන altogether 2 seconds එයා rest එකේ ඉඳලා තියෙනවා. Then 6th second එකට ආවිලා 6th එකේ ඉඳන් 7th එක වෙනකන් ආයා move වෙලා නැහැ. තව 1 second එකක් rest. So altogether 3 seconds තමයි එයා rest එකේ ඉඳලා තියෙන්නේ. Not 5 seconds. So it's wrong. මම මේක මේ displacement time graph එකකට දාලා පෙන්නන්නම්. The child has returned to the starting point. Initial displacement is 0. Final displacement is also 0. That means that displacement 0 වෙලා තියෙනවා කියන්නේ original position එකට ඇවිල්ලා. Starting point එකට ඇවිල්ලා. So that is also correct. The total distance that the child has moved is 16 meters. මේ child බලන්න 0 ඉඳලා 2 4 6 8 කියලා එක direction එකකට මෙහෙම 8 ඇවිල්ලා. ඊට පස්සේ ආයෙ එන්න displacement අඩු වෙලා 0 වෙනකන් ඇවිල්ලා කියන්නේ ආයෙමත් හිටපු පැත්තටම ඇවිල්ලා. And displacement has become 0 means the child has come to the starting point. So displacement 0 වුණාට distance කියන්නේ the total length that the child has moved. So 8 plus 8 that is 16. So the fourth one is also correct. So the false one is the second one. So if I put this into a displacement time graph, from 0 ඉඳන් 0 1 2 3 0 ඉඳන් third second එක වෙනකන් එන්න වැඩි වෙලා නේ displacement එන්න වැඩි වෙලා මම මැදේවල යන්න නැහැ එච්චර උඩ නැති හින්දා but මෙතන displacement is 6 then එතන ඉන්නවා third එකේ ඉඳන් fifth second එක වෙනකන් එතන ඉන්නවා third එකේ ඉඳන් fifth second එක වෙනකන් එයා ඒ එකම displacement එකේ ඉන්නවා then fifth එකේ ඉඳලා 6 second එකට යද්දී එයාගේ displacement එක එකක් දෙකක් වැඩි වෙලා නේ මෙහෙම වැඩි වෙලා. So now 8. Then 6th එකේ ඉඳලා 7th එකට it has kept the 8 displacement. 6th එකේ ඉඳලා 7th second එකට එයා 8 වලම ඉඳලා තියෙනවා. Same displacement. Then 7th ඉඳන් 11th යනකොට එයාගේ displacement 0 වෙලා. So ඒක වෙලා තියෙන්නේ 7 ඉඳන් 8 වලට එකක් අඩු වෙලා. 7 to 8 එකක් අඩු වෙලා. 7 second එකේ ඉඳන් 8 second එකට displacement එක එකක් අඩු වෙලා. to 7. And then 7 ඉඳන් 4 වෙලා. 9 second එකට යද්දි 4 වෙලා. And then 2 වෙලා 10 second එකේ and 11 second එකේ 0 වෙලා. So something like this, no displacement time graph. Is it clear, lamai? Up to this point, everything is clear. Give me a thumbs up, please. For your just for y'all to know, 10 වලට තමයි අපි ඉවර කරන්නේ. Yeah? 10 is the ending time. And next week we won't have any extra like rescheduled, not rescheduled extra classes because you have the term test. Then let's move on to the next two questions, 39 and 40. Yeah. Tomorrow class එක තියෙනවා. Saturday morning class එක tomorrow we have the class. Sunday morning කට්ටියට Sunday we have the class. Yes. Okay. A figure of an arrangement to demonstrate the electromagnetic induction is given here. In which of the following instances the galvanometer G does not indicate a deflection? When moving the magnet towards the coil while keeping the coil stationary, will that create a deflection? Remember, in electromagnetic induction, then stationary na no induction, no electromagnetic induction. Eko coil එක stationary තියදී magnet එක move වෙන්න ඕනේ. eko magnet එක stationary තියදී coil එක move වෙන්න ඕනේ. නැත්නම් දෙන්න different speeds වලට move වුණා නම් ඒත් හරි. There has to be a relative motion. What about one? When the magnet is moved while the coil is stationary, there will be an electromagnetic induction. Neither. When keeping both the magnet and the coil stationary, there will not be an electromagnetic induction. When moving the magnet away from the coil while keeping the coil stationary, again, there will be an electromagnetic induction. When moving the coil away from the magnet while keeping the magnet stationary, again, there will be an electromagnetic induction. So the answer is the second one. Is this clear, Lamai? Is this clear? Okay. 40th එක තියන්න 40th එක අපිට food mile එකනේ තියෙන්නේ. ඒක biosphere නේ, so leave it for now. So මේ paper එකේ මම හිතන අපි questions 4ක් විතර ඉතුරු කරානේ. 1 Okay. So ඒ 4 අයින් කරාම මට කියන්න බෑ ඔයගොල්ලන්ට කීයක් ආවද කියලා marks. For 2016 MCQ, what is the mark you got? Okay, Binuti. Then, okay, Muni, Manisha, Situki. Others? Onelka, Oneli, Iara, Yansilu, Sanuli, Himasha. हर तो कौन क्यों हुआ था? बातुला, Hamodi, Sanuli, Akib, Dinugi, Tenumi. Quickly tell me. How many marks you got? Just count and tell me fast. What I asked was Akib. Now, except for 4 questions, we have corrected everything else. Ne? So, what is the mark you got? Again, how many correct answers do you have? Dinugi, how many correct answers you have? And Tenumi. Akib, Dinugi, Tenumi. Quickly tell me. Okay. Tenumi, okay. Dinugi? එකකට එක කියලා දාන්න. එක question එකකට mark එක එකයි කියලා දාන්න. So out of 40 තමයි හැබැයි අපි 4 questions mark කරේ නැති හින්දා out of 36 වගේ. What is the mark? Okay. MCQ එකට සාමාන්‍යයෙන් 35 34 වලට වඩා වැඩියෙන් තිබ්බොත් you are safe, right? So then you can get අපි I mean 30 අපි questions හතරක් mark කරේ නැහැනේ. So out of 36 if you have like then 36 නේ අපි out of 36 තමයි අපි දැන් mark කරේ. 30 or above 30 තියෙනවා නම් shape. 30 or above 30 means you are in the safe zone. එතන වැරදි දැන් හැමෝටම සමහරට 30 නැතුව ඇති ඊට රාඩු ඇති. So එහෙම වුණොත් what you have to do is වැරදි ටික බලලා ඒකට අදාළ lessons revise කරන්න. answer එකක් වැරදෙනවා කියන්නේ it's very good because that gives you a lot of awareness, right? Where you are standing, what things you don't remember. Okay? So don't expect මට copy කරන්න පුළුවන් වෙයි නැත්නම් මට කනා shot දාලා කරන්න පුළුවන් වෙයි. ඒවා හිතන්න නැතුව don't waste time thinking those unnecessary things, right? So just focus on getting correct answers. So වැරදි answers තියෙනවා දැන් mark කරපුවා තියෙනවනේ. So ඒකට අදාළ එක වැරදුනේ because you don't remember or you haven't studied. So now you know what you have to do next. You have to go and study. මට මේ homework ටික කියන්න බලන්න. මම හිතන්නේ මම last week mark කරගත්තද මන්ද? I can't remember. So 2017 වල ඔක්කොම කරන්න කිව්වනේ the whole paper. 2018 also the whole paper, right? කළා තියෙන questions අරගෙන අනිත් ඔක්කොම. 2019 also the whole paper. What else? That's it. Is that all? Okay. කරලාද තියෙන්නේ හැමෝම දැන් 2017 18 19 have you finished the whole paper? අපි discuss කරපුවත් ගොඩක් ඇති. But discuss කරපු හෝ නැති including the MCQ, have you finished the whole paper in all these 3 papers? Okay. එතකොට ඉතුරු ටිකක් ටක් ගාලා කරන්න. Okay? And okay. 2020 and 2021. No, 2021 නැතත් කමන්නේ. 2020 තොන homework list එකට දාගන්න. The whole paper. You know how to time ne MCQ time කරන්නේ මෙච්චරක්, structured essay මෙච්චරක්, essay මෙච්චරක්, right? So you know how to time. Okay. So from whatever we did today, is everything clear? Do you have any doubts, any like concerns, anything that you didn't understand? Or is everything clear? All clear. Okay. Next week, no extra classes as usual. Saturday, Sunday, අපේ classes තියෙනවා හෙට යනිද්දායි. And after the term test, after the mock exam, we will see how to schedule the rest of the classes. එතකොට සමහර වෙලාවට හැමෝටම බැරි වෙන්න පුළුවන්, but එහෙම වුණොත් we will cover it with a recording. ගොඩක් අර මම morning, early morning නේ දාන්නේ. So I think that would be the most ideal for most of y'all. Okay. කොහොමත් Saturday Sunday class එක as usual යනවා. මම මේ කතා කරන extra classes ගැන. Okay, then we'll end the class for today. Thank you for making this time. And yes, you all too. Have a nice day. Have a nice week. Have a productive week. Study well. And good luck for your term tests on 5th. Mock or term test or whatever. මට ඔයගලගේ science paper එක ඉවරනහම paper එකේ photo එකක් එවන්න. 8 හරි 9 හරිනේ තියෙන්නේ. ඒකේ photo එකක් එවන්න අනිවාර්යෙන්. ඔයගන්ට structured එක හම්බ වෙන්නේ නැති වෙයි. But essay එකයි MCQ එකයි send me a photo. Okay, then we'll end the class ළමයි. Have a great day ළමයි.